Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right
to live? Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media. And you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. You know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this. And it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media, share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are going to be talking about a very interesting subject. You know, no telling where it's going to go. No telling where it's going to go. You know, it can go anywhere. It can go anywhere, okay? And you know what? Everybody's welcome to get a shake on it. Everybody's welcome to chime in and get a 2 cents on it, okay? Especially if any white folks are here to listen or here to participate. They definitely can, get their views out there. But we're going to talk about whites versus blacks, a discussion about superiority, y'all. That's what we're going to actually tackle. Whites versus blacks, a discussion about superiority. Yep. And we were having a discussion on Friday, and obviously this came up as something that needed to be discussed. So, hey, that's what we're going to do over here right for live. We don't shy away from the hard stuff over here, y'all. We don't shy away from the hard stuff. We get it in. Makes no difference. We're going to do what's got to be done, and it is what it is. But before we go too far into this, first of all, let's take a quick moment out to give props where props is due. We got a lot of folks who help out around here, and they help in different ways. And one of the main ways that somebody can help, they can become a sponsor of the stream. And you know what? We have people who take on that role. We got people who take on that role. Now, sometimes we know who they are. Sometimes, they're a big deal. Sometimes they're just some good old wholesome regular folks. But this time, we have as the sponsor of the stream, believe it or not, y'all, the real Lil Wayne. Now, I'm not saying that he's the actual real Lil Wayne, but that was the name being used when he sent the money in. So shout out to the real Lil Wayne. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Hey, appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time, y'all. I believe that's Red Pill Sleeper Cell, but shout out to that brother. And if it is the real Lil Wayne, hey, shout out to him, man. You're real talk, man. Shout out to him. If it's the real Lil Wayne, it's all good at the end of the day, man. It's all good at the end of the day. Appreciate you big time. Now, let me give some shout out to some of the first people to check in this morning. It's always good that when you start a show, you see people starting to check in. But y'all know how I go around these parts. As we say, there can only be one. And that one today is my man. What we like to call the Highlander of today's stream. My main man, Yogami, is in the building. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Now, you should have beat him in. You know what I'm saying? You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. You should have beat him here, but you didn't. So shout out to Yogami. Always glad to hear you, brother. Always glad to have you here. And also follow him up. Shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtables in the building, keeping us all in order, y'all. He gonna keep us all in order. Shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. My main man, Floyd Thompson, is in the building. Yay. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Shark Sims is in the house. What's happening? Music Man 1982 just pulled up to see the cool table. Glad to have you in. Superstar Jay Quick is in the building. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast checking in. Good to see you. The Saute Sheriff is in the house. Mr. Suge to you is in the building. Great to have you. Y'all. And we're going to get into this, y'all. We're going to get into this. Now, I want y'all to know, okay, these discussions have been going on for a long time. Okay, they've been going on for a long time. Hence the artwork. That's all I'm going to say. Hence the artwork. But we got to get into this one for real, y'all, because in an American context, you know, people like to say certain things, and we got to examine, is it real or not? Whites versus black, y'all. What we going to do about this? It's a discussion of superiority. Now, we're all humans. Yeah. Okay, we all humans. We know that. Okay, so let's just get that out the way. We already know we all humans, because somebody going to say, you know, we all humans, right? Yeah, we know that. We're very much aware. Okay, we're very, very much aware. Real talk. Shout out to King Ravens, Oz, and John. He said, good afternoon, 2:15 p.m. in Africa. Well, shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. They on the mother continent, y'all. They on the mother continent. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Okay. Shout out to Chef Mike Roundtable, who says, in response to we're all humans, he says, are we? You know what, Chef? There are some people who will put an argument up against that narrative too. If we really want to be real and we really want to think about it, it's some folks that will put up an argument that some of us ain't really human. Okay, let's keep that real. Okay, if y'all don't know who they talking about, you know, well, I ain't gonna lie. Now, if I think about it, that's on both sides of the fence. Some folks will argue that those are white people, but there are some white people who will argue that it's black people that aren't human. If we keep it real, okay, so it's you know, it's ways to say that on both sides of the fence. You know, people get a little ornery about who's human and who's not human. Okay, that's a real deal. And over here, yeah, we deal with the realness, y'all. We deal with the realness. So yes, people can take offense, or they can feel some type of way about who is human and who is not human. Okay, people can feel some type of way about that if we just being real. Okay, now a lot of folks say that black folks are not really human, and they just made up a lot of stuff to feel better about taking advantage of black folks. You know, those were a lot of slave masters and a lot of white folks, back in the day. You know, I know it's a good amount of people that still do it to this day, but they try to at least hide it a little bit. They do try to at least hide it a little bit. Okay, but back in the day, they was a little bit more overt, and they would just say stuff in order to justify taking advantage of black folks. It's a little bit different. Now, the folks who say that white folks aren't human, now those allegations come out of observation. Let's be real about that. Those things come out of observation. We see how white people act, and you have to wonder, can these people actually be humans? Shout out to Black Uru Strikes. No sooner as I say it, he says, I think they are artificial manipulated. I think that they are an artificial manipulated form of humanity. They do things no other earthlings do. Now, let's keep it real, y'all. You look at the collective of white folks, it's hard to say that's not true. Okay? They some kind of people. That's all I can say, y'all. They are some kind of people. Are they like black people? Not really. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. Are they like black people? Not really. From a collective standpoint, I do think one of the main reasons that black people suffer, that this ain't gonna be necessarily politically correct. Okay, but just because it ain't politically correct doesn't mean it ain't true. I think one of the main reasons that black folks suffer is overexposure to white people. You start picking up white people habits, you get yourself in trouble. Okay, you start doing things that ain't no good for you. It ain't no good for your family. It ain't no good for your people. It ain't no good for your state, your city. Well, truth be told, ain't no good for your country. Black folks really start to suffer when they take on too many habits of white people. Let's just be real about that. And that may not sound politically correct, but it's a very real thing. Y'all remember the what they call it? The DC sniper, right? The DC sniper. Now, what happened with the DC sniper? Okay, black guy started acting like a white man. Now, I'm not gonna say he didn't do it on purpose, because obviously he was doing a little something on purpose, because he wanted to have people think he was a white guy. But DC sniper started doing what white people do. And what did DC sniper do? He started sniping people. That's why he called the DC sniper. Should have been obvious, okay? He started sniping people. Now, as he was sniping people, he wanted to get some money. Okay? He put a ransom out there. I forget how much it was, but he basically said that he'll stop killing random people if what was the U.S. government would pay him off. He said that. And let's keep it real. Everybody thought, yep, I'm going to say everybody thought at first that it was a white guy. I don't think it was one person in the entire United States of America that thought that was somebody other than a white guy. Now, information eventually came out. We eventually found out that this actually was a black guy who was trying to fool people into thinking he was a white guy. And let's keep it real. It worked. He worked, because black folks do not commit murders by sniping people. That's just not our MO at the end of the day. You could say we want to get a little more up close and personal if we're going to do it, or, it comes out of nowhere. It's not really premeditated like that. That's not generally how black folks kill people. But if we think about white people, well, if somebody get taken out by a sniper, yeah, we do think a white person going to do it, because that's just white people's reputation. All right. Is that some level of superiority that white people are known for sniping versus black people are not known for sniping? I don't see how. I don't see how. Sniping is just sniping. Now, I will say this: if you want to look at it from a superiority standpoint, white people will take people's lives for stuff, that's not that big a deal, stuff they could get on their own. How many white people have been willing to kill people over getting some money? Okay, let's be realistic about this. How many white people have been willing to kill people so they can get some money? Matter of fact, before I even go into that point, shout out to Black Rule Strikes. He says, I maintain the DC sniper was some MK Ultra or some other military stuff gone wrong because black men just don't do that. And you know what? Shout out to you, Black Rule Strikes. Now I'm gonna have to say that that's always plausible because he's literally the only black man on record for doing something like that. Literally the only one. We don't know of another black man who just went out to murder some folks, especially over some money, and it was all premeditated like that. We that's just not black men's MO. It's not even black women's MO. White folks, nah, that's kind of expected. Now, I will give white folks credit for, they do a lot to try to clean up their messes. But when are white folks not killing somebody over just money? You think about corporate takeovers. You think about getting a contract here or there. White folks is very, very willing to kill people over just money. Now, I know some black folks will say, well, what about people in the drug game? Well, yeah, people get killed in the drug game. And a lot of folks would think about, oh, black men kill somebody in the drug game. Yeah, for every time you see some story about on the news about some black guy got killed and had something attached to drugs, keep in mind it's a lot more people dying under white hands because at the end of the day, they secure the drugs to get them to the country. Black folks ain't selling no drugs without the white man's help. And that's just the way it goes. But a lot of people don't focus on that. They don't think about the fact that we will literally invade a country. And as the United States of America, we will literally, have operations going on in other countries willing to kill whoever's necessary so we can get hold of some drugs and get them over to this country. So people talking about a low-level drug dealer, like, oh yeah, he killed somebody, he got into it with this guy, a low-level drug that they will send a U.S. military operation to a different country to secure drugs. And whoever got to die for them drugs to get over here is totally fine with them. See, that's white folks, though. That's white folks. See, we think about the black folks because that's what white folks do. They keep saying, hey, look at these niggas. Look at these niggas. Look at these niggas. And then sometimes we'll forget and we'll actually look at the niggas as if the white folks ain't behind it. What drug dealer got shot over selling some heroin when some white folks ain't went and killed a ton of black folks to get a ton of foreigners just to get the heroin over here in the first place? Okay. Black people do weed pretty much. White folks do drugs. That's just the way it goes. Okay. That's the general thing about blacks and whites. Black folks do weed. White folks do drugs. Now people will say, well, what about the crack addict? I mean, what about that whole thing about the crack pipe and all this stuff was going out in the 80s? We had a whole crack era. Yeah, while we were having that whole crack era, it was plenty of white folks on cocaine. Remember, crack is just a derivative of cocaine. Just is what it is. Now think about it. How did black people start doing crack? Too much influence of white people. Okay. Black folks have done plenty of stuff that's natural. It just is what it is. Okay. We would be included. Okay. But how do you get black folks to start taking actual drugs? Well, you got to get white influence. And I know a lot of people don't really think about it like this, but I'm just telling you what it is, man. Based on what I can tell, overexposure to white people ain't good for black people. It's just way too many incidents that goes on. But does that lend to superiority? Nah, it doesn't. Okay. Now, there are people who say that whites are superior. And then if you kind of ask them why you think whites are superior, a lot of times they don't really have good reason. Let's just keep it real. They just don't really have good reason. When it comes to being a physical being, black folks seem to be superior at that. Okay. Black men seem to be more muscular. Okay. You know, people say it's a rumor, but you know, black men seem to be more well endowed than white men. You know, I'm gonna actually say black folks seem to be smarter than white men. Okay. Black women usually have bigger breasts, bigger butts, you know, wider hips, good for baby making, all that good stuff. Now, some people may say, well, you know, but white women, they like the standard of beauty in America. Well, I mean, depends on who's looking. Depends on who's looking. Okay. You know, I could understand people not thinking they can make it happen with a black woman. If you're not equipped with what black men are equipped with, I can understand something like that. Okay, I can understand. You know, it is what it is. Shout out to Black Rule Strikes one more again. He says prior to crack, cocaine was mostly thought of as an expensive party favorite of affluent white people. It wasn't even thought of in much of any sort of criminal way. And you know, shout out to Black Rule Strikes, and see, that's a regular thing that happens. See, when white folks do it, they don't even want to talk about it being criminal. It's only if black folks start hanging around white folks too much, start picking up on white people's bad habits, then things get criminalized. Okay? Now, let's keep it real. You know? Doing drugs has always been a big deal for white people. Let's keep it real, y'all. Doing drugs has always been a big deal for white people. Now, why is it a big deal for white people? Well, I guess you got to kind of ask white people. You know, why it's always a big deal for them. You know, it's like they get rich, they get famous just so they can do drugs. Okay? They want that trust fund money just so they can do drugs. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like white people ain't ever did nothing well, because that ain't the truth. And we ain't gonna push no false narratives over here at the Roger Report Live. We ain't pushing no false narratives. But white folks like drugs. It just is what it is. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the more black folks hang out with white folks, the worse off they gonna be. You'll see black folks on drugs because they kick it with white folks too much, or even with the music. Y'all notice over the last decade or so, they've been making a real push. You know, to get black folks to talk about drugs in their music. They want to talk about you doing pills and all that type of stuff. Why? So young black people who don't remember when, for black folks, it was like, we do weed, y'all do drugs. You know, talking about white folks, this is what it was. We do weed as black people, y'all white folks do drugs. And that's just the way it generally was. But they want to try to get that erased a little bit. They want to try to get it where black folks are doing the same drugs that white people are doing, because white folks want to take a moral superiority position than black folks, when the truth is they're just not, because they like drugs. And let's keep it real. They love drugs so much they ain't gonna never stop. Okay? And people will say all kinds of stuff about other folks, but white folks ain't gonna allow this country to be what it is without getting their drugs. So if you even talking about, well, you know, it's the cartels are pushing the drugs in here. No. White folks gonna get them drugs over here no matter what. It just is what it is. White folks gonna get them drugs over here no matter what, because that's just who they are as a people. You know, they like drugs. You know, now it ain't my job to tell them that they can't like drugs. I'm not saying they can't like drugs. You know what? This is a free country. I honestly believe, you know, doing drugs shouldn't even be illegal, because you're supposed to have the right to put whatever you want in your own body. Your body belongs to you. Now, if you do that at home, that's your business. If you don't come out into the streets, don't hurt nobody, don't damage anybody's property, hey, that's on you at the end of the day. Don't get behind the wheel of a car high, which we know white folks gonna do that anyway. Okay. Just something about them and being high, you know. And some people say, well, it ain't that bad, is it? Well, I mean, think about them in alcohol, y'all. Think about them in alcohol. White folks love drinking and driving. See, the thing is, we don't say things like that because in America, they continue to paint this image about white folks like they're superior, like they're better or something like that. But if you just actually pay attention to what goes on in this country, it's not that hard to figure out what's going on with a lot of people here. You know what I understand about white folks? They love drinking and driving. It just is what it is. I just happened to see a video last night. Saw, video, guy warns somebody to not drink and drive, you know. Not too long after he warned them, they was dead. Crazy accident. It is what it is. White folks have always loved drinking and driving. I remember growing up and they had the whole, what was it, dare not to do drugs, don't do drugs. All these different campaigns because white folks was killing themselves, okay, and injuring all kinds of people. One of the main reasons that insurance has, they used the tragedies of white folks to push that everybody should have insurance. It's because white folks out here killing each other, man. And other folks too, because they love drinking and driving for some reason. Okay. I don't understand why you just got to be drunk when you drive. I don't get it. I can even somewhat understand maybe somebody making a mistake doing it once or twice, possibly. You didn't even know you was that drunk or whatever. Okay. I can maybe even get some of that. But the fact that white people take it on as a goal, let's go get drunk so we can drive. Okay. That's just what it was. Or even what it is at this particular point. I remember when there was no ride share company. I remember that. Yes, I know white folks would literally plan to go out on Friday night. They get a little crowd together, 4, 6, 8, 10 people. You never know. Could be 30 of them. And they love to drink and drive. It is what it is. It got so big that they had to come up with a designated driver. We're going to need one of you white folks to not get drunk while the rest of us go out and get drunk because we're going to kill everybody. Real talk, y'all. See, I remember that whole thing about the designated driver, being, come up with. I remember, white, white folks like to do all kinds of crazy stuff. It is what it is. It is what it. Now, I'm not mad at them. I understand white folks are different than us. I don't, believe that, they should be made fun of everything that makes them different than us, and we different than them. And back in the day, it wasn't no thing for black people to just say white people crazy, because that's how we saw them. They would do all this different stuff that the average black person wouldn't do. And then you could even say, well, you got a population, and every population got their crazy folk. And I could be like, yeah. It's just white people crazy folks seem to be a very large part of their population, while other people's crazy folks seem to be a small minority of their population. Just is what it is. Now, a lot of people say, well, white folks are superior because they've been able to advance in America through the things that they have done. And I can understand why somebody would have that reason. I truly can. Okay. I could also understand that white people obviously cannot be superior because they make laws and enforce laws, even enforce things that aren't laws, okay, to go against black people so they can get advantages. And for me personally, it's hard to see a person who always needs to advantage. Or if you say they don't always need advantage, they try to get advantage in every type of scenario. And I think that they're superior. It's like if I'm bowling, right? Let's say I take a 9-year-old bowling, right? Let's say we give him the little guardrail so he can't throw no gutter balls. All right. If that 9-year-old could even win the game, if he could win the game, let's just say the 9-year-old won the game, y'all. Okay, we got the little guardrails up. He can't throw no gutter balls. Somehow this guy, he wins the game. Okay. Now, do I look at the 9-year-old and think he's better than me? It's hard to see that. Why? Because I have common sense. Okay. I'm not an idiot. I understand things that are presented to me can be lies. Okay. I don't forget to use my own intelligence when looking at a situation. All right. I could take a 9-year-old bowling. He can use guardrails and he could possibly win. Now, I understand that's still not a great chance for a 9-year-old to win unless he was he was really, really into bowling as a kid. I understand that, that's not necessarily the most likely situation. But if a 9-year-old did win and he's using guardrails the whole time, y'all really think I'm going to be insulted and think the 9-year-old is just a better bowler than me? I mean, let's get... How could I actually think that? Okay. How could I actually think that? And shout out to Mr. T checking in from the UK. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, I love all my people listening outside the United States. That's not saying I don't love the people who listen in the United States, but I do love my people who listen from outside the United States as well. And shout out to all y'all. Real talk. All right. So in this country, white folks that had guardrails since day one. The one thing white people don't like, regardless of what they say, is fairness. Now, I understand there's people getting upset right now. People talking about the DEI and they want to kill affirmative action and things like that. People argue about a meritocracy, but white folks don't want no fair fight. They never have. They don't want a fair fight right now, and they never will. And I mean, just a fair fight and advancing in this country over merit. That white folks don't want that. Now, a lot of people would argue white folks do want that. And you're being presumptuous to say they wouldn't want that. Heck, they argue about that. It's some white people that say that's all they want. Yet, in practice, no one wants to practice it. See, it's easy to say you want something that you will never practice. Could white people have practiced fairness at this particular point? Sure, they could have. Have they ever once elected to? Absolutely not. Let's be real about this, y'all. This country, first it was the continental United States of America, then it done changed over until the United States of America. All right. They got over here in 1492, y'all. And they wanted a fair fight since 1492. Let's keep it real. Not to mention, there was a lot of reasons why certain folks came over. Okay. They didn't want to fair fight where they were. So they came over here. If we want to get real with it, a lot of folks over there didn't want a fair fight, so they came over here. Now, I ain't mad at the white people. They did what they did. It is what it is. Okay? They did what they did, and it is what it is. All right? It ain't my job to be mad at them. And that's just real talk. It's not my job to be mad at them. They did what they did, and they do what they do. But if I'm going to be real about something and I'm going to discuss something, I'm going to still discuss the truth about it. Okay? White folks have never been able to present that they have any level of superiority whatsoever. A people who constantly want an advantage tells me that they don't think they can win. Yeah, you ever run a race? Y'all know there's always somebody who want a head start. It's always somebody who want a head start. Why? Because they don't think they can win in fair competition. Now, my thing is, I understand that's just how white folks think. large scale of white folks think. That's just how they get down. That's how they think. You know, I told y'all before, based on what I can remember, the first person I ever heard say it, you know, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I got that from Joe Montana, man. You know, a dynamic quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers back in the day. That's what he said. I'm looking at Joe Montana, who's supposed to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL and in NFL history. Supposed to be one of the greatest. And that's what he said. He said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Now, there are people out there that want me to believe white folks is superior. Hey, this one of your big dogs right here. Your big dogs say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's what the big dogs say. This ain't just some random person. This was Joe Montana. Okay? Now, if Joe Montana can say something like that, and Joe Montana can believe something like that, y'all think the rest of them ain't gonna think that way? Joe Montana was the role model. Okay? Joe Montana was the role model, you know? Joe Montana, and it hit different because it ain't like he's some scrub that didn't make it in the world. No. This Joe Montana, okay? He one of the elite white people. You know, he played in the NFL, he got rich. You know, he got himself into an elite position. This ain't some scrub saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. This ain't somebody who who's lived a life of quote unquote not making it. No. This man was already in NFL and he was already a winner when I saw him saying this. You know? Now that's how I remember. Okay. I hate to lie on Joe, but that's definitely how I remember. Joe came out and said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The Joe Montana, y'all. He was a big deal when I was a kid. I remember growing up, and Joe Montana was a big deal. He was a big deal. Okay, not saying he ain't a big deal now, you know, but he definitely was a big deal when I was growing up. All right. So white folks always want to take advantage of black folks. Okay. But I'm supposed to think they're superior. There's a lot of black men who shared an experience where you had to train your replacement or train your boss. This is something that happened plenty amongst black men. A lot of black men have trained their replacement or their boss. Okay. A position opens up at work. You want the position. They need somebody who knows what they're doing to fulfill the position. So you have to take the position over for that particular time. Then they'll bring in some new guy, and you got to train the new guy on how to do the position. And then once you get the new guy trained, new guy happens to be white, then they put the white man in your spot. They take the spot that you wanted, and they give it to the white man because you trained them. Or white man comes into the business, you know, you the black guy, you know, you the person maybe with the most experience at the time or the person who's giving out the greatest output, you know, and you take the white man under your wing and you train that white man. And once the white man is trained, they make the white man your boss. You stop being the acting supervisor or acting manager, and then they make the white guy the manager or the supervisor, you know, whatever it is that they use. Now, I ain't no rocket scientist, y'all. I ain't no rocket scientist. But I would actually think, you know, as I grew up, you know, I learned more about life. And I started finding out that all these brothers done trained their replacements or their supervisors. Because, you know, I did it before myself. Trained a white guy. As soon as I got him trained up well, you know, he got the position that I wanted. You know, I thought seniority meant something. It meant something till the white guy showed up. You know, I go tell my father about the experience. He started telling me all kinds of brothers done train their bosses, not just replacement bosses. Okay. I started talking to other black men. Yeah, y'all know how many black men I found that trained their boss? It was a ton of them. And all of them had a story about another guy they knew who trained his boss too. I started finding out this was like a rampant thing. Black men out here training bosses all day long. Okay. Now, they tell me all kinds of stuff about bosses. Bosses are supposed to do this. They supposed to be qualified at this. They went to school. They got this position because of this. And I keep finding out that the reason white men can be in a boss position is because some black guy trained them. You know? Or I'm going to say I've seen even worse stuff where, the department is running what they doing what they do. A white man is the boss, but when people need help, you know what they talk to? The black guy who's actually running the department. I don't know if y'all ever seen that. I'm sure y'all have. But I've seen places where there is a white guy who is a figurehead for the department. Okay, on paper he is the boss. Not saying he ain't the boss on paper. On paper he is the actual boss on paper. But everybody in that department know if I need some help or I need some advice, if I need to know how to do something right, if I need to make a change, whose approval should I get? Jerome's. You know. Now, Sebastian on paper is the boss. Sebastian runs this department. Okay. Sebastian definitely runs the department. Okay. Everything runs through Sebastian from a corporate standpoint. Not going to even lie. But if you go to the job and you trying to do the job well, don't let you be a new guy and you trying to make sure you can be held on like you in your first 90 days. I got to perform. You don't go to Sebastian for any advice to help you perform better. You go to Jerome, and it's been departments that's been like that for so long that even Sebastian gonna tell you to go talk to Jerome. Sebastian getting the paycheck for being the boss. Sebastian don't know squat. You ask Sebastian about something, Sebastian gonna say, well, you know what? You need to talk to Jerome. Shout out to, it's actually a Jerome Payne in the chat right now. I just see Jerome Payne say a black man, nearest green, trained a white man how to distill and make his own whiskey. Jack Daniels. Shout out to you, Jerome. And I'm reading that just because your name is Jerome. But that's how it go, y'all. Sebastian, he run that joint on paper. But Sebastian in trouble every time Jerome on vacation. Okay. Jerome can't even get a decent vacation because Sebastian got to keep bothering him because people need help during the week or 2 weeks that he off. That's just how the game go. Now, as I see this type of stuff as a black man, I do understand people will say that white folks are superior. All I'm going to say is I haven't seen it, okay? I've been in America my whole life, y'all. I've been in America my whole life. I ain't seen the superiority. I'm not saying that, people can't make an argument for it, but I just ain't seen it. And that's just real talk. I just ain't seen it. But shout out to SOS, the interpreter. He's come up. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the mic. You got it, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Thank you very much for this lovely program you have here. And Kev C, welcome also. And I'm ready to have this conversation with you guys and to educate the public on what is really taking place in this system and why most black people are so backward and unable to really overcome this system and the trap that they have set for us. The main thing that they have used to confuse us as a people is our language. The language is the operating system of our consciousness. Everything that you know, think, believe is contained in your language and was given to you through your language. As I said earlier, the language is the operating system of our consciousness and basically the closest thing to our God. The first God we know about is the Egyptian God known as Osiris. And Osiris is Osiris. The OS at the beginning of it stands for operating system, followed by IRIS, which is the iris, meaning the eye. Osiris means the operating system of consciousness. The Greeks had their own version. It was called Theos, Theos, meaning the operating system. When the Greeks conquered Egypt, it was said that Ptolemy created a god known as Serapis, Serapis. And Serapis, Ser means to be, and Apis is talking about a program that controls the gateway and becomes the security guard of language, just as an API in computer limits access to deeper what you call legacy information. Our language is an operating system and it is our consciousness. And by us learning the light version of the language, if you do a study between the light version of an operating system and a full version of an operating system, you will find that the light version limits you and limits your capability and your performance compared to the full version of your operating system, which is going to give you a wide array of tools to do many interpretation, access deeper level of knowledge and information that the light version cannot access. And that's what the Europeans did to us when they killed our ancestors, taught us their language. The language they gave us, these language are known as the vernacular language. They are linked to the language known as Latin. Okay? If you have watched the movie called The Lord of the Rings, The Lord of the Rings is a concept that is designed after who is known as Apollo and the Nine Muses, or Ashoka and the Nine Unknown Men. These are allegories that are speaking about the consciousness of the mind and the power of the mind, and how the secrets of all knowledge is already known. Everything that you see taking place, the new information that you see they're coming out with from quantum theory, quantum physics, string theory, all of these information are already known, brother. They're just slowly releasing it using people that they choose to release it. When you talk about the Einstein, when you talk about all these great white men that they told you are great, none of them are great, brother. These are people who were given information, just like you have Elon Musk today. He was given all the information to come out and pretend. When I say that they are superior, if a person program you with a limited capability and keep the majority of the language and knowledge for themselves, they are going to be superior to you mentally. I can tell you this, all knowledge and information shows we are the true people of this domain and the true masters of the world. But as they said, they murder all our firstborn, and our firstborn means the elders, those who were the keepers of our knowledge. So when they kill our firstborn, the younger generation that is coming up, just like any termite system, can be programmed with any information and control. That is what is happening to us. And like Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, you must know your enemy.
You got to close it. You got to close. You way past the 2 minutes, man. I got another guest here.
I'm closing it.
Go ahead.
Sun Tzu said in the Art of War, you must know your enemy, know your position, and know your capability. If these people as program you to be lesser mentally and spiritually than they are. It's for you to do the job to rise above it, and you can rise above it because the knowledge is here. It's just not out to the public as yet.
Okay. All right, KFC, you got the flow, my brother.
All right, hey, shout out to you, Rather. Hello to Mr. SOS. I'm going to start off with a quote from Sun Tzu. Since you mentioned Sun Tzu, Chinese historian, scholar, military strategist. He's a classical theorist, and he also said, "All warfare is deception." That's one of his basic quotes. That being said, essentially what Roger is talking about and what the topic is as it relates to white people versus black people and this topic about superiority. Look, and with a system in place that helps them in every aspect of life, all right, you don't have to actually demonstrate your superiority. You're actually placed in a false position of power, privilege, authority, and I'll just say a false position of superiority over everybody else. And I was listening to you speak earlier, Roger. They actually haven't had to prove, right? And I'm gonna tell you something else. And I've always said this before, and I may have said it a few times either on this channel, and I know I've had this discussion with other people. But there's an argument or a discussion going on about white people and their so-called superiority. Look, if you need a system to assist you, to get you benefits that you didn't earn, to get you power that you didn't actually, that nobody gave you, that nobody voted you in to have, all right, that you weren't democratically elected in a position of power and authority. If you have to get benefits, if you have to get money, some kind of programs and all this other stuff that benefits you to the exclusion of everybody else, what you have actually proven is your inferiority. All right, you've proven that you are inferior. You've proven that you're incapable of competing with everybody else on a fair and even playing field. And you're openly admitting that, hey, look, I see you. I see this black man, this Hispanic man, this Asian man over here. And you know what? I'm looking at all these folks that I got to compete with, and I just can't do it. You know what? I'm going to rely on this system. I need this system to help me out. Not only do I need a system to help me out, I'm going to, put laws and people in place to make sure that the system is working the way I want. And then not only that, I'm going to reinforce the quote from Sun Tzu, I'm going to use the art of deception to fool everybody. And I'm going to use strategic communication and propaganda to convince everybody else that I'm not doing anything, that I rightfully earned this position, that I'm rightfully better than everybody else. And it's you guys who are inferior. I said a lot, so I'll go ahead and land right there.
Okay. Now, before anybody else says anything, y'all, let's get them likes up. Y'all hit that like button. You come over here Monday through Friday, getting the best content social media can offer you. And I get it. You could forget. You got a little excited. But let's get that like button going, y'all. Let's get that like button going. And I'm watching. Okay. So hit that like button. Real talk. All right. Now, I'm going to say, real talk. Yeah, there's always been something going on where people can hide information. I'm not gonna lie, like it ain't true that people can hide information. But when it comes down to it, obviously they ain't hit enough. That's what I'm gonna say. Obviously they haven't hit enough. Because just me being a regular person, okay, again, I'm not a rocket scientist. I live in this country, been here my whole life. And even though there was clearly a message being pushed to me that white folks were superior, the world around me shows that they're not. If anything, they are possibly inferior. And I'm just saying possibly inferior just to be on some nice stuff. That's really what I'm doing right at this moment. And again, they don't like anything to be fair. They want an advantage in every single situation. I've never met a white person who wants a fair race. I'm not saying they don't exist, y'all. I'm just saying as a person, whatever we're talking about, they don't want it to be a fair race. They don't want to start where I start, and they don't want to go to the same finish line I go to. They never want it to be fair. They always got to be something to it. at the end of the day. So I'm gonna say shout out to Chef Mike who talks about white dependency. I do believe white folks do have dependency on black folks because when things have to get done, black people seem to have to do it. I mean, even what's the dude name? Thomas Edison, who's given credit for the light bulb. And I thought about that for a second. I've said this before, y'all. If Thomas Edison got credit for a light bulb, what did Thomas Edison do? Because we know a black man came up with the filament for the light bulb. So what was the bulb before the black man came up with the filament? Well, did he put a piece of glass on a candle? And we call that the light bulb? Like what did he actually do? Did he stop candles from being blown out because somebody walked across and then it was a little too much wind and the candle went out? What light bulb did he create? If you need the black man to come behind you and make a filament so the light bulb will work. I'm not saying he didn't do anything. I just wonder what that thing was that he did if the black man had to develop the filament so the light bulb can work. Yeah. I'm just saying. Don't seem too superior to me.
Yeah, every time you mention Edison, you actually need to mention Lewis Latimer. That's actually the guy, the black guy who actually helped come up with the filament. And believe it or not, he actually got that filament off the idea of what people used to do during when they were picking cotton to keep their hands warm during the cold winter months. There was a natural element, and I forget about it, but they would use that as a way to kind of keep their hands warm, and it would last a long time. So, and it provided heat. So he used that in the bulb. Had he not and this is what I'm talking about. So Edison would have never came up with that. He would have never had that exposure. All right. But Lewis Latimer did. He had that exposure because he was connected to the culture. He was connected to the black culture that actually knew about that. So he saw that, and then that's how he gets that. That's how he gets that invention. But we talk about Edison, and all the other stuff he came up with. But Latimer gets left out along with the other black inventors.
And my thing is, I don't know what a light bulb is unless you're talking about a filament. Until you got a filament, what really is a light bulb? What is it really? But shout out to my main man, Passport OG, has graced us with his presence. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic for his opening statement. Welcome to the show. I think this is not your first time. This is like your second time up, but welcome back. Welcome back.
Salute, Roger. Thank you for having me up. Look, my brother, SOS interpreter, I had to speak on this because he said this and it touched like when he said that our language is our operating system. Like the 7 tenets of what's it called? Kwanzaa, right? It's like Uji Chakalia, I've got all of them.
Mojo Imani,
Mojo Imani, right? So imagine, right? Because what he's saying essentially is that there's a way that you operate when you have a certain bios, right? Like okay, I'll give you an example. Like in Japanese, right? In Japanese, they say the word itadakimasu, which basically means every time you eat something, you say, I humbly accept this food. And like they ask, like, how do you translate in this English? Like, we don't have that principle in English. We don't say that in English. We say, thank you, God, for what you provided us, blah, blah, blah. We don't have one word for that, right? So think about what it means if you have one word that says, always respect your elders. If you have a word that says, be an honorable man at all times. Like, think what that means when you're a 2-year-old kid and someone says to you, be an honorable man at all times. And that's like the second or third word that you learn. Like, I think what makes us as Edo's people special is that we're trying to figure out who we are in English. Like, that's the difference. If you come from like Africa and you speak like your tribal language and then you learn English, it's different because English is a language that you're using. It's not a language that you are. But like if you look at like how Jamaicans have manipulated English, right? And then instead of saying, I, they say like the me, or they change like how they use the I word, right? It's you listen to our hip hop, it's the same thing, right? And so when we have to try and define who we are in a language that's not us. Like it's like kind of two things pulling apart at the same time. Like, how do you define yourself in a language that is not where you come from? And that is what makes ADOS FBA's us different. Like, Japanese people have Japanese, Chinese people have Chinese. So I saw someone say in the chat like earlier, like how can people be conquered? China was conquered. They took a bunch of opiates over to China, and they said, we're going to trade your opiates for silver. They got conquered. They recreated themselves, and they came back. But that's because they can define themselves in their own language. How do you define yourself in your own language when you don't have your own language and you don't have your own land? Like that is us. How do you do that?
And as you said that, I want to point out something to you, that in the essence, that China didn't lose their language. You cannot say they were conquered, because a people isn't conquered until they don't know themselves and lose their language, which is what happened to us. Yeah. And now we have to use a language that was designed with gates and security to keep you out from going to the higher levels of the language. When I speak about the superiority of white people and Sun Tzu, I'm talking about accepting the reality for what it is now. These people have used their language to limit us. If you study the system of the termite, and in fact, that's what we're living in. We are living in a termitic system, which is, as you see, they make the movie known as The Terminator, and the new one that is coming out right now known as Tron. The T is for Terminator. The RON is a compaction for religion or an assembly. But the termite system is designed where 92% of the population of the termite are blind. They have no eyes. It's about 2 to 3% that get eyes, and the other 2 to 3% get eyes and wings. So the ones who are blind, they cannot leave their kingdom, basically. They cannot leave out of their kingdom. It's only the ones who have eyes and can fly can leave. And that's how this system is designed, using the language, because the language is designed where there's a system in the language. Okay, the light version is where you learn grammar. And if you listen to the word gram, G-R-A-M, gram means a gram is a lightweight. The MAR is stand for the market. It's talking about for commercial use. Okay, when you get above the grammar, you get in what is known as the tonal level of the language. And if you listen to the word tone, it's ton. It's talking about heaviness and power. Okay, English is not. And most of these languages that the slave masters use, okay, these languages are known as vernacular language. The word vern, V-E-R-N, is a plant that comes from the Adler Grove, okay? Adler Grove plant grow where they create a canopy above themselves and limit anything else from growing underneath them. So these vernacular language, they were designed, okay, to limit the capability of those who use it. Only the people who are at the elite level and have access to the tonal power of this language, English, French, any of them, you will not have any power or know the real knowledge and be able to go deep back into history to know history and see it as it actually is. When you learn the language, you master it, you will be able to go into the past and see the past as it was and be able to any of these stories that they tell you about from the Bible or any of these figures from history, you will be able to tell them the real thing and not the nonsense, because I know I can do it.
All right, now, real quick, I'm gonna get this question out the way first. Black Rule Strike says, does SOS have an active channel? Do you have a channel that you put content on?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I have a channel called Unbreaking the Circle. I started that channel last year, but because of the sensitivity of the information that is in my book, I didn't want to release certain information. So I just put out 3 videos to warm the public up on what is coming. My book is coming out within the next 2 weeks. This book was supposed to be out from the 17th of August. And because of the information that is in this book, that's why I'm experiencing this problem to have it released. to the public.
Well,
Okay.
and Raj,
Now,
I'll say this on SOS's part. Like, it's not important for us to identify or agree with everything that he's saying. What's important is for us to consider ideas that we have never considered before. Like look at how low level hip hop has gotten. Like, when you listen to hip hop in the mid 80s, late 80s, you had people talking about all kinds of stuff. And like, that is gone. Like, hip hop was a language that ADOS black people invented. And like, essentially for like a period between like 1986, 87 and like 91, it was like, hey, it's wide open, partake of it. And then gangster rap, booty shake, whatever, like stripper rap, and then it's gone, right? So when you consider like the idea that even with the constraints of English, like black people continue to create all these. I mean, when you listen to a congressional hearing, and they're using words like what's the word I heard the other day? They said all kinds of hip hop words, right? Like chill out and whatever. You hear it all the time. Like, it just becomes integral to the language, because even with the constraints, like, why isn't this word here? Let me use this word, right? And to be honest with you, America needs it. America needs that language, right? So I'm really vibing with what he's saying, because the basis of English is really it's like typeset, right? Like, when you put a certain letter in a certain place, certain letter, certain place, certain letter, certain place, certain letter. Like, English and Chinese are very, very similar, except we weren't born in England. We speak English, but we're trying to figure out English as our mother tongue, and it puts us in a very unique place where we can manipulate English in a way that other people just can't really understand English.
okay. Now I'm gonna say there are some things that's hidden when it comes to language. Trust me, there's stuff that I know that I ain't gonna even get into at the end of the day. But I will say this: there is no superiority, because it's from a mass standpoint. Whatever we're trapped in, so are the white people. Is there somebody elite that knows something that the general mass don't know? Yeah, that's true. That's always going to be true in every society, because that's how humans operate. But the masses of white folks and the masses of black folks, if we're going to consider them trapped with the limitations of the English language, the white folks just as trapped as we are.
Well,
so therefore, there is no superiority.
I would say the reason why country / jazz / blues is what it is because even they are trying to figure out how to maximize using the language. And I mean, the truth is, we're brothers. We don't get along, but after slavery, us and regular white folk, we're brothers. We're distant cousins. Like, how do you get away from that?
I mean, I'm just gonna say from a general context, just being realistic. One thing I'd never elect to do at this point is hang out with white folks, because the way they people operate, now we could say it's because of the language, but the way they people operate is just nothing pleasurable to be around, nor does it have anything good for me at the end of the day. If I want to advance in something, I need to be around some black folks. If I'm around white folks, I'm not saying white folks won't allow some black people to advance, but it always comes with strings at the end of the day. If you just want to make the world a better place and you go through white people, you're not going to be able to do that, because as soon as you get to a point where it's uncomfortable for them, they will pull their support. That's just who they are as a people, and as a person who always wants to see his own people doing the best, that's not going to be comfortable for them. And I know that. And because I don't care about how they feel about it, I ain't gonna really rock with them like that at the end of the day. They seem to have no problem trying to get their people to do better. So why take issue with me if I'm doing the same thing with my people? But I do understand it is going to be an issue when I'm around them at the end of the day. So there's no reason for me to even want to be around them like that. Now, does that mean I don't like white people? No. Do I know some white people and we cool? Yes. But from the general standpoint, we not going to work well together because they have an issue with a black man trying to advance himself or his people. That's a general issue for them. Now I'm gonna let Jado get in because he just came up. So Jado, you got the mic.
Hey, good morning, Roger. Good morning to the fellows on the panel, everybody in the chat room, and replay gang as well. Yeah, I just wanted to put my
Yo,
two
hold on
cents.
1 second. Let me, and I hate to cut you off, brother.
All right,
I'm gonna
bro.
say this. Shout out to Blessed the community. He said you seem scared of white people. No, Blessed, you seem scared because nothing I said had anything to do with fear. But you found fear where fear didn't even exist. That tells me you're actually scared of white people because you pulled that from yourself. You didn't pull it from me. I didn't say I was scared to go around white people. I said I don't have any use for somebody who doesn't want to see me advance. That's a very huge distinction. So you are scared of white people and you just told on yourself. You just didn't think I would know you told on yourself. My bad, Jado. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, as far as the superiority thing, look, like we've been fighting this battle for some centuries, right? Some hundreds of years. I'll say that, maybe even more. I don't know exactly the timeline or whatever, but and we've been under certain conditions that we're still to this day fighting against. So I know something is off balance, man. I know that. So I'm not. I don't want to get into the superiority thing myself because that could be a very sensitive topic with black folks, man. We get very sensitive when we start really talking about this. But when the brother came up, the SOS, the interpreter came up the other day, man. I thought it was interesting, man. And I just say we need to be open to things because we need to fight this battle or this fight this war on all fronts that we can fight it on. We need to be fighting it on. And when the brother brought up the language portion, I thought it was very interesting, man, because like I said, man, I think we talked about the N-word, nigga, or whatever. We talked about that before. And what I've noticed, man, and this is just an example. This is one example how when we use that word, we claim that it's a word of endearment, but it's not. Also,
No.
if you think about the times that we use it, it's always deprecating. Most of the time, almost all the time, it's something to bring us down. But in order to I guess pad our ego and avoid it, man, avoid the pain of it, we say that it's endearing, but it's not, man. And I know, and I get why we do it. It's a way to get by. We're compensating. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's something we need to explore. I think the language is something, some type of spirituality. I think we need to explore all fronts, even if it sounds maybe quite absurd, because we've been doing trying to do conventional things, and it hasn't quite worked all the way up to this point. So that's why I just say, as black people as a whole, we need to really try to expand our minds even beyond what we would know, and maybe something that might sound absurd or unconventional or unorthodox. We should explore that so that we can get to where we would like to get to. And I guess I'll end it right there. Thanks for having me up.
All right, no problem. I'm gonna address Blessed one more time. Blessed the community said, I just said I went to school with white people for 8 consecutive years and never had any problems with them. Yeah, because you don't matter, man. You're not gonna have problems when you don't matter. When you do stuff, what you do presents nothing to them. Why would they have a problem with you? And let's keep it real, Blessed. Your attitude for a long time has been trying to be extra cool with white people. Why would they have a problem with you? You will never be a threat to them in anything. Nothing you say will ever matter where it'll come into where it can mean some harm to them. Nothing you do is ever going to put them in any level of jeopardy. Why would they have a problem with you? Think about that, bro. Think about that. As long as they have black people like you, they'll never be threatened or challenged on anything. So why would they have a problem with you? You know, you got to, I mean, think about what you say before you say it, brother. Just think about what you say before you say it. Why would any white person ever have a problem with somebody who wants to promote them over themselves? That doesn't make sense. And I'm just saying what I've noticed from you, because I done told you, I done noticed you before. You know what I'm saying? I seen you here, but I seen you in other places. I done kind of noticed you. And I get it, bro. You know, I don't think you would be the person a white person would have a problem with. I don't think you ever would be that person. I hope you become that person. I just don't believe you will ever be that person. But, you know, I still love you and appreciate you, brother. And it just is what it is. All right. Emperor, excuse me, he done changed the name. Hang this nigga now. Oh, okay. Hang this nigga now. You have the floor.
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Morning, brother.
What's going on, bro?
Right.
Good morning.
Salute,
Good
sir.
morning.
Salute.
Okay. All right. When it comes to whether or not who's superior or inferior, it's my idea that us black people are the superior ones. The mere fact that we exist despite everything that they put us through, we're not crazy, we're smiling, we exist, we're reproducing, we're partaking in normal, daily, functional activity is a sign that we are superior. Because whenever they are confronted with a little bit of discomfort, they lose their mind. You know, Mr. Cartwright gets fired. Mr. Cartwright grabs you Blicky and airs out the whole family. You know, they cannot tolerate a little bit of discomfort. I remember the scene in Batman when Bane was beating Batman. He said two things: peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you. I mean, they've been so comfortable with where they are, with always having advantages, with not really competing against anyone, always having a leg up or handouts. Yes, they get handouts also. I mean, that they have lost the ability to compete. And thank you very much. I'm going to put the mic down for now.
Hey, Roger, think about this idea, right? You have the N word, right? You have a term that is so derogatory that you use it for hundreds of years, right? And these people take that term in absence of their own language and turn it into a term of endearment. And essentially, all you can do is say, why can't we say the word again? Like, think about that how crazy that is. Like, we would call that word as a term of just, you ain't nothing. And then we turned it into, hey, what's up, bro? What's up, homie? What's up, home skillet? Except it's the N word. And then you come all the way back around and it's like, why can't we say the word again? And it's like, you can't think of another word? Like, why do you need to use that word? You use that word. Like why you want to use the word? Like, that whole, it's like a Rubik's Cube where it's really confined. We don't have a bunch of words to call each other king, son, almond rod, whatever we're going to call each other in English. So in those constraints, black people say, you know what, we're going to turn this crazy word into a term of endearment. And it's a hot button word, but think about what that means. It means we don't have a whole bunch of other words to use. So we turn that word into something that we can be proud of. I mean, that is like trying to box in a glass case.
But I'm not going to look at it as they turn into something they can be proud of. They did, you know, flip it so it wouldn't hurt as much. But this is the thing. To be able to say something and nobody else can say it is an exertion of power at the end of the day. So even though it's a very controversial word, I'm going to be pro black people can say it, and you just make sure nobody else say it. Because at the end of the day, you have to get used to wielding power, period. And because it's a way to wield power, I'm going to rock with it. I understand, you know, especially the people who are much older than me, how it hits differently. But at the end of the day, the best thing based on history For white folks, it's for black people to get used to telling them what to do.
Well,
from a historical standpoint, it's like necessary.
Well, Roger, the word nigger, Nigger, nig, Nig, that is us. Okay. David did one of his skits where he was a blind black man going around as a Ku Klux Klan, and hating black people because he didn't realize that he was blind. These things are things that the white people do to us, just like with LeBron James and Timberland. They give you words that you don't actually know the meaning of, just to show you and mark you of how you lack knowledge. The word nig, comes from the word nigon, Nigon. Nigon is the opposite of the word Zion. Okay, Zion means Z is on death. Okay, just like Zeus, the universal spirit of death. Okay, nig is for 9. You could go and look into Old English, you will find that Nigon, Nigon, it's the opposite of Zion. Nigon means consciousness, which is 9. It represents the highest state of consciousness. We, as black people, are the people who are the most spiritual, we are the most conscious, and we are the true essence of God on this planet. But if you take the name Abraham, Abraham means Aeneas bra. Aeneas bra. B-R-A is like what a woman wear, a brassiere. It's a bridle, something you use to harness something. And he harnessed Ham, okay? Black people are known to be Ham, the people who are put into slavery, okay? These people has used their very language, okay? If you take when they said Eve went into the garden and ate the apple, the word apple, A-P-P-L-E, L-E means the, and A-P-P is the app. Most people will say, well, app is a mother in creation. No, it's not, because if you go deep back into the word apple in Latin means malum, M-A-L and U-M. The U-M stands for the universal mind. That is the seat of consciousness. That's where in the center of your brain, you have a place known as the cerebellum, the state of the two-bell of the okay? The 9, this is why you heard Apollo on the 9 muse, and the 9 muse represent all level of knowledge and consciousness. Ashoka and the 9 unknown man. The 9 unknown man is that very okay? Is the very same thing you see with number. N-U-M stands for the 9 unknown man. Burr stands for the spring, okay? This is a concept of 9 being the highest level of intelligence, and that's who we are. We are the true consciousness of the planet. These people has only used a language to limit us and to not let us know who we are. And in doing that, at this point, when they control our consciousness, because most of our people believe in all these religions, okay? All religions was created by who is known as the Septuagint. If you look up the Septuagint, you're going to find out that they are also known as the 72 elders, because 7 plus 2 is equal 9, okay? They also tell you about the 70 leaders, because 7 is equal the number of consciousness. If you take all single digit from 1 to 9, you're going to find out that 7 is the only number that cannot divide 360 degrees without having a remainder. So 7 is considered outside of the circle. It represents God. So 7 represents God. 9 represent consciousness. The Septuagint are known for 2 numbers, 9 and 7, okay? When you take the month September, okay, it begins with Sep, S-E-P, which represents 7, but it is the 9th month. This is them putting a label on all school systems showing that just as they are the founders of all religion, creating the first Bible, the Old Testament, they are the masters of all consciousness. They control the religious system, okay, through the Bible, and they control the school system when they put their print on the month of September as the beginning of school and all knowledge, okay? These people, they know who we are, But our people don't know who they are. When you find out who these people are, you're going to know why they think the way they think and why they act the way they act. It's something that happened to the white people that change them. And next thing, they are not one white people. There are two different type of white people. You have what is known as the Capricorn, okay, and what is known as the leprechaun. The leprechaun is the common white people that was bred from the original people of this earth, the black race, okay. The Capricorn is an elite set of group of people who are dominating the world. When you learn and get the access to the higher level of the knowledge, none of these things can be hidden from you.
All right, I'm gonna say, you said so much right there, and I'm not gonna respond to every single thing you said, but I am gonna say this: there was no apple mentioned in the Bible. White people definitely didn't write the Bible. The book is too complicated for white people. And I know a lot of people believe that white people gave it to us during slavery. That book is far too advanced for them. They had nothing to do with it. And I'm just gonna keep it real on that one. But I got other guests coming up, so I'm gonna just go ahead and let them get theirs out. So first up is I'm trying to read your whole name. I can't see the whole name. Larry Bird Mom. Never. You got to tell us the rest of it. I can't see it.
Never sucked off his teammate.
Introducing y'all, Larry Bird Mom never sucked off his teammate. You have the floor.
Salute to you, Roger. Shout out to the gentlemen of the panel. Passport OG, ni hao, ni怎么样? Need the HSK 什么时候?
很好哟。
你考过你的 HSK 没有了吗？
现在我学是第1、2、3、4的水平汉语水平考试。
Okay,好. Okay, gentlemen. So first, I want to say that I know I'm gonna get a lot of pushback. So please let me get my full 2 minutes. So, well, the name says it all. Larry Bird Mom never sucked off his teammate. Let you know right there which side I'm on. Second, y'all are tripping. See, because at the end of the day, when we look at superiority, you gotta look at the record. Women are bleaching their skin around the world to look like the European. The European runs Africa, runs Asia, runs Europe, and more important, but Magic was Bird's mom's favorite player. But Magic wasn't Bird's teammate, was she? No. So even if she was getting nice with Magic, it still was his teammate, like LeBron's mom. And oh my God, if you start counting Larry Bird's number, I'm gonna lose my shit. I do not care about Larry Bird number. I just don't give a shit. Now, moving on. At the end of the day, the European has the number one spot. Bill Gates can be on the toilet and steal your girl. Point blank, period. Out of 3,000 billionaires, 60% are Europeans. When we look at the things that count, not moral victories, they're at the top. And now Kevin C., I don't want to hear it. They stole, they cheat, whatever. Well, maybe they were smart enough to cheat. Right? So if we sit here and say, oh, they don't endure hardship, which is bullshit because when we look at history, we look at what the Russians have done. The Russians had their women fighting Italy on horses in the dead of winter in Siberia, going toe-to-toe with tanks. Even for my Bible thumping people, the Bible says they are people of war. They're not sweet like that. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at the European and we're sitting here saying that somehow they are inferior to blacks, but we don't have the tangible evidence to sit here and say they're better than us, I think this is being a bit delusional. Now, all that being said, I'm not saying that black people are not capable, but we do have to realize that the position that we're in. In 2025, they are in a superiority position. And that's just the bottom line. And I pass the mic.
All right, Kevin 3905, you got it.
Oh, mic check, mic check. Y'all hear me all right?
Yeah, you good. You good.
I'm gonna agree with hot sauce and take it even further. Y'all got
Brother,
my
the
stomach.
name is at least Larry Bird, man. Come on.
Oh, Larry Bird. I'm agree with Larry Bird. Y'all got my stomach hurting up here today. Uh, First, to start with the Bible, white folk didn't write the Bible. If they did, it was a poor writing because the white folk are the enemy in the Bible, and they killed the Messiah. Why would you think white folk would write that? That's stupid. Uh, Two,
Okay, you went out. You put the mute on,
You muted
Kevin.
yourself.
You muted yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
God
Go
damn
ahead.
it.
Now you just muted yourself again. You on mute again, Kevin.
If he was white, he wouldn't have that problem.
All right,
This
Shark, go
dude,
get
man.
in since he's muted. Go ahead, brother.
Yo, peace to everybody. How y'all doing out there?
Doing all right, brother.
Sure.
I gotta agree with Jado. I gotta agree with what Larry Bird was shooting out there, and it's crazy to me that we know they winning, but we still going to say the superior thing. So I'm not even going to say superior. I'm gonna just say they winning. And in order for us to even come around to thinking that we're going to win, we have to give the people who's beating us the respect enough to say these mother suckers is winning, and what can we do to win like them? But we don't want to do that because we don't even want to say they winning. Pride is the devil. Pride is literally the devil. Second thing, that language thing is very it means a lot. What homeboy in the beginning was saying, that stuff means a lot. A lot of the words that we use, we don't even understand the etymology of these words, and you wonder why you in the rut that you're in. Roger said, well, if we trapped in a system and the white man is trapped in the system, we both trapped. No, it's their matrix. You're trapped in their matrix. This is their matrix.
Bars.
They're using the words that they know. You're using the words that they gave you and don't even know the etymology of
Bars.
the word nigger. It means an ignorant person. But we gonna say, oh yeah, we made it. No, corn is corn. You're not gonna make corn another vegetable. The ignorance of niggas. We
Preach,
gotta
niggas.
start thinking like black people. The reason why black people strive so much before is because when you told us we couldn't do something, we went and showed you we could do it. Now we just sit here complaining, talking about them niggas, they don't know nothing. We ain't nothing. We ain't doing nothing. We gotta be the black people that we used to be. When the mother suckers say we can't do it, we going to show and prove.
Mm-hmm.
Like y'all said earlier, hip hop, we literally made our own language, and somehow the people who are not superior came and juked you out of your own language and selling it back to you. I don't know, but I still love y'all to death. But this right here is a major bill that we've been needing to go on. You know what I mean? Yeah, the racism stuff is all that good, but now we got to get strategic and start understanding stuff. Please believe, brothers, magic is real. Ask your fellows from Haiti how real magic is.
Well, but I would say this.
Close my door right there.
Define us. Because if we don't have a set of women that pair with us, then there is no us. So if you could tell women basically Steph Curry ain't nobody, he's not even worried you with respect. Barack Obama ain't nobody, he's not worried. Will Smith's not worried about it, he's not worried. where's the us? Like, how do you build us without a companion? Anyone that's going overseas can see that a regular Chinese American, Chinese black Thai dude can get his compatriot to say, "I'm going to work with you and build a family with you." So, if the us, how do you define us as a black people? How can we do something when our counterpart is basically saying you're dusty? Like that's our conundrum. Our conundrum is who's going to give us borderline respect, and that's a very unique position.
But just as I said earlier, the reason why I'm fine with people using the word nigga is because as long as they stop other people from using the word nigga, is they're going to wield power. Black folks got to get used to wielding power, which is the most important thing. And when it comes down to it, if the women, whoever they be, don't accept that you're in charge, you're supposed to leave them out to dry.
So let me ask you this question, Roger. If a females calling themselves hoes and bitches, is that empowering?
No, because it does. What's the empowering portion of it?
Please go.
Well, hold on.
Hold on. When I said they stop somebody else from saying it, that is a wielding of power.
So, but hold on. But I think let's not go past what Passport OG said, right? Because he said that how are you going to work together? Who are we when our women don't respect us? When you see, for all intents and purposes, even though we don't consider Obama to be one of us, the world sees Obama one of us, and then you see Michelle Obama, who is one of us genetically, sit here and say, "Nigga, don't touch the thermostat" in front of the whole world, right? I mean, what does that mean? Do you guys Steph Curry, which we also consider one of us, and then his woman just last night said that I never wanted kids. I never wanted to marry him, and I never wanted kids. So not only did she disrespect her husband, but she just told her kids in front of the whole nation that I never even wanted you guys, right? And so, and then we as black men, you see, they get no repercussion from us. But somehow we're gonna sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, we the SHIT," and that's what Chuck Sims is saying is right. It got to be tangible, right? Where's the blowback for Michelle Obama? Where's the blowback for Aisha Curry? Nothing.
And you
that stuff matters.
And we're gonna say we superior to other men. They got their women in check. We don't even. How is the team going to be a
Triple Gordon never said nothing like that. George Bush's wife never said nothing like that. Dick Cheney's wife would never said nothing like that.
Man, I just noticed, like, us as black people as a whole, black men too, we have a lot of coping mechanisms that we don't want to admit to, man. A lot of this stuff is coping mechanisms. And I want to shout out to the brother, Nameless Protagonist, man. When he comes up, what's the word that he uses when he comes up here to the panel? I didn't know what the hell that meant, and I lived in Japan. I had to look it up. And I just want to just read off what it means. This is another language that this brother's using because we don't have the word for it as black people.
That's right.
It says expresses a strong assertiveness, masculinity, let's kick butt spirit in Japanese. That's what that means. I'm just saying, just stuff like that. I know it seems very minute or whatever, insignificant, but it is significant, man. But anyway,
real quick.
Like when I use that word, I do feel powerful.
Hold fast, 1 second, because I want you, whatever you're saying, to be heard. The Jedi Skywalker, whatever your name was. Look, I just timed you out. Look, I don't. Anybody who keeps putting out like the same stuff, like I don't do spam in my chats, y'all. Okay, Jedi Skywalker, that was the name was. I don't do spam in my chat, so. If y'all gonna come in to participate, that's one thing. If you just come in and spam something, that's a whole other thing. And maybe your messages are slightly changed, but they sure look the same to me. So I'm just going at that point, just start timing you out. Then if I see you keep doing that, I'm just gonna, eliminate you from the channel. We don't spam over here. You have intelligent conversation if you're gonna be in the chat. And if you cannot do that, then you just sit back and listen until you learn how to have intelligent conversation. All right, say what you were saying again, Shark Sim, so it can be heard.
because Jada was saying about the word. I never knew what the word meant either, but it's like whenever Nameless would come up and he would say it to us and we would say it back. It made me feel a certain way. Like even when G would come up and he'd be like, "Peace to the gods, peace to the," that made me it vibrated with me and made me feel stronger. So it's back to these words. Like you gotta understand the words that we use and when we use them against each other and with each other.
All
So
right.
good looking for that, Jada. I appreciate
All
that.
right.
Okay, gentlemen, you guys are making good points as it
Well,
relates to
hold fast, Cassie. Hold fast, Cassie. And you got the mic right after Kevin 3905 because he never got his opening statement in because of whatever difficulties he had. So let me let him get in, and then you got it next. Go ahead, Kevin 3905.
Yeah, I apologize. I ended up having a phone call real quick, but all this knowledge and information and hidden knowledge and information, I challenge anybody. Anytime anybody give me some information on anything, even if it's in my own trade craft or whatever, I always ask them, prove it. Show me what you're talking about. See, when we be talking about all these people know who we are, we masters of the world and all that other kind of stuff. I don't know no masters of nothing that got enslaved. I just don't. I
Facts.
don't. I don't get it. You know, and then like man, listen, man, you're gonna have to accept two facts here. One, we're Americans. We were born here in America. We're Americans. We speak English. It's our native language, and we got to go from there with our knowledge. And two, we are descendants of slaves. We ain't descendants of masters of nothing. We ain't descendants of no kings or no queens. We are descendants of slaves. We are descendants of losers. What we did was we came over here and fought up out of that. We became victorious through that. But whatever happened over in Africa, the people that we were born from, they lost. Other Africans fought them, defeated them, and sold us into slavery. And the best of us survived. That's why we're so talented. That's why we're so intelligent. That's why we succeed at everything we put our hands on. That's why we're so blessed because we came through difficult circumstances. But if you keep coming with this bullshit of we masters of what?
Masters of bullshitting.
That's
We
bars right
masters.
there.
We will. Our culture has turned into masters of degenerate,
Yeah, that's
and that's
bars.
not all of us. We're turning
No,
that around too. That's not all of us.
now I'm gonna say that's what white people push because, truth be told, we are just the random Negroes who compete against everybody's best. Everybody else sent their best over here. we
That's right.
we was the you can even say exactly what Kevin said. We are the people that did lose because if you think about history, people who get sold off into slavery or people who get put into slavery are people who had battles and whoever lost was taken into slavery if they weren't killed. So we are the people who lost something at some point. And with now you got generations down the line. And we are competing against everybody else's elite. You send your elite to the new country. That's what everybody did. So we are going against the losers are going against everybody else's elite. And I'm gonna say at the end of the day, the white folks have not shown superiority. What black folks have shown is more grace than necessary. And that's why
Correct.
they've been allowed to be in the position they're in because we have given too much grace at
But
the end of the day.
Raj, consider this.
Well,
Maybe
well, you know what? I did say I was going to let Kevin get in, and we stopped him. But
Go ahead
No,
and make your point. Passport, and I'll go after you. Go ahead and make your point.
I'll be done with this.
I was actually talking. I was actually talking about Kevin C. I thought you was
Oh,
done.
Go
But go
ahead.
ahead
Go
if you
ahead.
had more.
No,
Go
no,
ahead if
no.
you had
Go
more.
ahead. Go ahead. I'll get back in later on. I got plenty. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go after Kevin C. Your passport, whoever after those shots.
It's Passport OG, then KFC.
Okay,
Then me.
Maybe we are losers, okay? But there's no ADOSA land. There's no FBA land. Like Indians have their own subcontinent. China has their own country, and they got done in by the British. Are they losers?
And
I mean,
Japanese.
yeah, that too. Like, are they losers? or did they have a place where they could say, you know what, this is our home base, we're going to rebuild from here, right? Like, we can use the word loser. I mean, okay, fine, that's a word we can use, but I can look at what Japanese people do in their own country and say, hey, listen, this kid here who's underachieving, he still has potential because we still have our own system. But as Black people, we've never had that. We've never had a place where, hey, this Black kid is underachieving, this Black boy, we're going to get him circled around a group of Black folks. Because every time we tried to do that, it just got usurped by inner whatever cause, right? So, fine, we're losers. But would we be losers?
I didn't say we were losers. I said we're descendants of losers, and we have become victorious through that.
If you look,
we are Americans. We're just the 13%.
we don't even have to use those terms, to be honest. If you look at it as a game, man, we're just down. We're down by 15, a couple scores, because we don't. The end of the game hasn't arrived. You know what I'm saying? But we are down. We have to admit to that, and we need to come up with a strategy to come back. That's what
I'm
it is.
saying.
Right, everybody
That's
hold
what I'm
fast.
saying.
Everybody hold fast, because Cassie was supposed to get in, and
Sorry
then
about
Go ahead.
and then we're gonna get who's that? Larry Bird gonna get something in, and then I got two new cats. So go ahead, KFC.
Okay, so you guys are talking about systems. You guys are talking about, who's on top, and I get all of that. All that's great and wonderful. The thing is that, Black men can be just as evil and immoral and vicious and diabolical as anybody else. The difference is that if and when we do that, there's punishment behind it. All right. So that's why we're not doing all of that stuff. It really has nothing to do with immorality or how much better we are and all this other stuff. And if Black people, Black men specifically, are such, losers, then what do we need all these systems to actually hold Black men back for? Like every time Black men are doing something positive and empowering and something that puts us on the right path, here comes somebody else to come in and screw it up. And then they have the nerve and the audacity to complain about it. Oh my gosh, look at what's going on over here. Like, that's what we're dealing with. Not only that, and you guys mentioned the women too. So everybody, look, even the best men can't fight everybody. We're not supposed to do that. All right. When you're talking about conflict, you can't fight a 2 and 3 front war. You got to take out your opponent one at a time. So if you have 6 or 7 or 8 people coming up against you, you're not going to win. All right. I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying, we're doomed. I'm not saying all of that other stuff. But somehow everybody has figured out that this particular group of men somehow needs to be subdued. And everybody is on code with that. But meanwhile, we're supposed to accept the fact that somehow, there's a problem with us. No, there's not a problem with us. There's a problem with everybody else. And I get all of that. And it's not about the morality of it and all this other stuff. But the thing is that it is, I'm telling you right now, defensively speaking, offensively speaking, it's impossible to go against 6 or 7 other groups. You can't do it. All right. So we're so bad. Then why does everybody need to be coming up against it?
Well, I'm gonna say it is possible because we are literally doing that. At the end of the day,
it's impossible to do that and win.
No. I'm gonna say this. At the end of the day, Black men have not been trained to give themselves the credit for what they have gotten right. When it comes down to it, everybody is against us. And the fact that we still here means a whole lot. And the fact that we threaten everybody else from a power position means a whole lot. That's why they have to convince you to lay down and give up. Just like when it comes to the women, you have women that don't want to work with you, you leave them behind because that's what you do with enemies, or you just take their heads off. When it comes to other people going against you, you take their heads off. We the type of people. I don't promote that you got to be extra violent with folks, but there are some times where people make it necessary. At the end of the day, Black men should be focused on beating everybody. And the only people that count is the people who are trying to side with us. If you're not trying to side with us, you're not us, and I shouldn't regard you as us. It's that simple at the end of the day.
I think we got to stop with the coping mechanism, and I think we got to stop with the fantasy, because this is all fantasy.
Come on, Larry Bird.
First and foremost, you're not going to get violent with with the European and America. You don't have the resources to win. You don't make the missiles. You don't make the tanks.
No. I'm not talking about from a collective standpoint. From an individual standpoint, you have to take a stand against people.
Let me finish. And the second thing is just because I look at you as the biggest threat doesn't mean that I think you're superior to me. It just means that if I'm a boxer, right, and when I box the Asian or the Mexican, I do 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? But maybe with the black person, I gotta give you combos to win. Just you just take more effort for me to beat you. Doesn't mean that you're superior to me. It just means it takes me a little bit more effort. And then on top of that, Asians and are thinking about you. Asians come into your community, sell you bullshit because you won't buy from your owns. The bodegas by the Mexicans coming here and they sell you bullshit as well. They're not thinking about you because you don't buy from your own people. You buy from the Mexicans, you buy from the Arabs, and you buy from the Asians. Why do I'm not thinking about you.
You have to be thinking about it if you sell it to me.
I'm not thinking about you in terms of competition, worried about you opening a store in your own neighborhood. Because like that's the point. I don't even have to worry about you opening a store in your own neighborhood and worried about you stealing customers from me. Because I know your own people ain't gonna buy from you. So I mean, so this kind of thing of everybody's against us. No, they're not, because at the end of the day, you're not doing anything for me to think about you. You know how many of us have put agents into Ivy League schools by buying their candy and their hair and stuff like that. Right? I mean, come on, guys, come on. I mean, we gotta be serious here.
Honestly,
so at the end of the please let me finish. So by the end of the day, right? Asians are making a killing off of the black dollar. Latinos are making a killing off of the black dollar. They're putting their kids into Ivy League schools because I coach their kids to go into Ivy League schools, right? And for every one true FBA person in an Ivy League school, there is 100 of them. Right? There's 100 of them. And then talking about what particular top school you're talking about, MIT, Caltech, and stuff like that, Asians are even overrunning the European. European is not thinking about black people right now. The highest income right now is the Indians and the Pakistanis. Europeans ain't thinking about black people right now. We got to stop this.
Yeah. I would beg the difference. I would say the evidence shows that they focus on us way too much, which is why they're losing ground with the other people. It's literally why they're losing ground to other people.
Roger, they don't think of you. The other people, like the Asians and all them other ones, they don't look at you as a threat. They waiting for your ass to wake up and become a threat.
Right. Right now, you're a customer.
What I'm saying is white people are so overly focused on us that everybody else is surpassing them.
Yeah, man, I would say this, man. We have a gynocratic mindset as men, even when we don't know it sometimes. When we're talking about, it's like how the women say they're strong and independent, they don't need a man, and they're the most educated and they got the most degrees and all that. And it's a lie. That's what we sound like when we're talking about we masters of the world.
Right.
What?
Exactly.
Where the fuck that come from?
Right.
Excuse me.
Nobody is saying that we're masters of the world.
No, somebody said that up there. Somebody said that.
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is that it seems like everybody stays in black men's business. Well, for us to be damn insignificant. Y'all sitting here saying ain't nobody worried about us, but goddamn it, everybody's all. I'm sorry, Roger, but everybody's got something to say. Everybody's got something to do. And not only that, you have people who are literally part of the damn group that are collaborators and actually helping them. So somebody's worried about it.
Agreed. But we need to come up with strategic plans and policies of how we move and collectively how we become successful together. But it can't come from a gynocratic mindset that we're in a position that we're not in, or we started from a position that we didn't start with. That's what's setting us back. We are imagining ourselves as something we are not.
Facts.
And it's like girls at the party thinking they cute.
What's up?
Look, man, we understand that that's why I kind of come up here. Like, we understand that our female counterparts are, for the most part, they're against us. White folks are being white people as they usually are. And these other races, they're trying to get in where they fit in. I'm just saying, amongst us black men that realize this, how are we going to interact amongst each other to do better? That's the
Bingo.
focus, man.
Bingo.
So one of my issues is that it's not so much other people. Is we got people in our own group that's literally doing everything they can to help everybody else screw us over. Like literally. That's the one that's one of my biggest frustrations. Somebody who's a black, they're running around here calling themselves black conservatives while they're sitting here, talking about 1350 and black on black crime and ain't saying nothing about white crime. That's out here running rampant. You're actually worse than the white people who do it. Like that's who we have. And there's way too many of those types of people and so few of us. Like all of us sitting on this panel, we could come up with a good strategic plan, execution, and all that other stuff. I believe we can actually do that. But we got to get through all of what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say collaborators. We got to get through all the collaborators first. We got to get them all out of the paint. That is a heady job. All right. That no matter what it is you're trying to do, that's great and wonderful. And talk about how everybody ain't thinking about us. I disagree with you guys. I'm gonna be the voice of disagreement here. When when everybody ain't thinking about us while they're sitting here doing everything they can to ruin black men. I'm not listening to that.
Kev,
But hold fast, y'all. After him, I got to get Inspired Truth Broadcast because he came up, got knocked down, came back up, and King also got to get in. So Inspired Truth Broadcast, you technically was first, so go ahead, and then we're gonna get King in right after you.
All right. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace to you, brothers. Peace to the chat. All right, let me get right into it. Like, I heard that statement. I had to jump in on that. That whole we're not losers. We're not descendants of losers. If you don't go and get warriors to become farmers. You get farmers to become farmers. It was a false narrative that was basically produced. I don't know why or how, but some type of way. Like if you have terrorists come in and go grab up accountants and go have them do accounting, that's not that they lost some war. It's they're doing what they actually supposed what they do, what they are acclimated to do because they're not warriors like that. Now the other thing is about the other folk coming in. So okay, yeah, you might have Asians come, you might have people from the continent come, you might have people from Africa come. You're not having the average person come over there, and that whole idea of they came with nothing is a lie. That's another false narrative. Like at every step of the way, there's been something that was either given or allocated or some sort of position that we were trying to fill, whether it was nursing or whether it was IT or whether it was something else. Every step down the line, there was something there. And trying to push, and we've been basically undermined and continue to get undermined for centuries. It's not the same thing. We got to stop doing that false equivalent stuff and actually kind of give ourselves some credit. And yeah, it's a long climb and trek up this mountain, but we still doing it. I'll end there.
Okay, King Groove. King Groove is on you. He might have stepped away, waiting so long. I guess anybody can jump in.
Well, can I comment on what Kev C was saying real quick?
Yeah, you go ahead while I pour my malt liquor. Get down, brother.
All right. So Kev C was saying that we have a lot of people within our circles that work to undermine us, right? Remember the story Black Uru told us last Friday, I think it was, when he said one of his teachers had took a whole bunch of students to go sing at the church, and what did the white people do to that guy?
They beat the hell out of him.
Black people ain't got that balls. We ain't grab Roland Martin up. We ain't grab Charlemagne. So if we have to be just as diabolical as the enemy we are trying to defeat.
And I get all of that. As soon as the second somebody grabs up Roland Martin, then here comes either somebody in the group or somebody outside of the group to go, okay, you can't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. Look, the reason they got away with actually beating that dude near death is that they had a system in place to actually allow that to happen, and everybody was and every white person in America agreed with it. That's why.
Who cares, Kev? After you do it a couple of times, they're going to know. That's not something that you do. But we're going to have an excuse. Well, you know, white people come that's the defeatist right there. A person like Roland Martin and these guys should not even want to think about doing that, due to the fact of what the repercussions can be once they get caught in public.
Who are the people that are helping Roland Martin? Somehow it seems like you guys are missing this. Like, somehow black men are not diabolical and hardcore enough to actually get this done. Who's helping him?
Listen, Kevin C. I think this is what you're missing, right? Like, can I ask you? I'll ask you, but if you don't want to answer, it's fine. But are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in the Bible? Extent. I'm a different type of Christian. Okay. That's good enough. That's good enough. If you believe in the Bible, good enough. So in the Bible, it says that there are peculiar people. Because I believe in the Bible. I believe that we're the Jews of the Bible, right? So in the Bible, it says there are peculiar people, and I chose them not because they were many, but they were few. And God always talks about how he takes the least and make them great, right? So even there, right, it talks about how these group of people were not the greatest on the planet. There were other people that were greater on the planet, like the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, whoever, right? Whoever, Greeks, the Chinese at one point ruled the whole world, right? The Greeks ruled the whole world. The Persians ruled the whole world. But at the end of the day, right, even when the Israelites were at the zenith of their power, it was because of the God they served. It wasn't through their own might. And so I'm saying all that to say this, is that when we're looking at tangibles, brother, now you're going to argue that, okay, the tangibles were gotten they got the tangibles illegitimately. But this is not school, Kevin C. This is reality. It doesn't matter how you got it. You got it.
They got their tangibles. They can't even stand on it openly and honestly. They're actually running around here trying to hide everything, whining like little bitches, whining about, being victims and everything else, while they're sitting here on top.
Whether I got Beyonce to get me a blowjob from Mackin or paying, I got it.
They can't even stand on their own shit. They can't even stand on it.
Now, my thing is this: they're not superior because they elicit help of other people, and let's just be real about that. They do elicit a lot of help from other people. It's just that everybody, from a general context, has bought into white supremacy. That's why it functions the way it does around the world. So the whole thing is they get help from other people. At the end of the day, if you can't do it on your own, you can't be the person I can't look at you and see superiority. And that's just real talk, because that doesn't speak to superiority. Now, I'm going to say, in a system of white supremacy, I'm going to say you're going to have to take down some white people first, because taking down some other niggas don't mean nothing. Nobody looks at that as any meaning at all. So even when y'all say you got to deal with the co-conspirator, we can get to them at some point in time. Take down a white person. Smack some random white person that's doing something to you. Challenge white people trying to take authority over you. If you, from a personal standpoint, won't stop white people from trying to get over on you, then it's going to be a problem, period. Somebody has to be an example. If you're not going to hit no white man in the mouth, what are we supposed to do with you at the end of the day?
Listen, Roger.
Now hold on. This is not me promoting violence. I'm only saying that if somebody is doing something to you, you must take a stand against that particular person. That's what I'm saying. I'm not promoting violence. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. If I sound bitch made, then I'm just gonna sound bitch made. I'm gonna tell you this right here, right now. The world has never seen a more violent warrior than the white man. This man has killed children, peeled skin off, made wallets and belts out of people, human beings. These group of people put children in gas tanks. The world has never seen a killer like that. And y'all up here talking about go smack him in the mouth. Okay. Not me.
That's
Not
why
Larry
the,
Bird.
that's
That's
why
not
the,
warrior behavior. What you just described is not warrior behavior. Warrior behavior is them going up against other men, in open combat, handling their business and beating them. That's what that is. What you just
The
described was just cowardice.
okay, so fine. Rome conquered the world. England conquered the world. America conquered the world. Spain conquered the world. England conquered the world. What do they have all in common? European.
I don't know why
Okay,
we
let me ask
pretend
you a
like this
question
didn't
though.
happen,
Let me
man.
ask you a question. Who did Rome get beat by? Carthage, Hannibal, non-whites. Okay, why is it that Britain couldn't conquer South Africa? The Zulus, Shaka Zulu, and 7 kings thereafter him. Why couldn't the Europeans, the English, and the so-called Americans, or the Mexicans conquer the southern part and the southwest part of America? Because of the Comanches, the Apaches, the Cherokees, the Seminoles fought hard. Instead of just conquering them like they did other people, like how they beat the Mexicans in the Mexican-American War, they had to sign treaties with them. The reason why they have so much today is because they could not defeat them. As soon as these other tribes started getting repeating rifles, which was better at the time than what the U.S. Army, the cavalry had, which they got from white traitors, conspirators, who was all about a buck, white traitors, Comancheros, okay? They became better equipped and better armed. Hand to hand, and with melee weapons, they were already better fighters, better guerrilla fighters. So there you go. So that's not accurate, the statement that you're making. They have had to bow down and sign treaties to people. They couldn't beat Vietnam in the 70s. What you talking about?
Well, I'm gonna. So first of all, what I'm saying is very
Them
accurate.
people are 4 foot tall.
Is very accurate because at the end of the day, look at Latin America now. What do they look like? Look at Peru. Look at Argentina. Look at Brazil. What do they look like, and who runs it? European Latinos, right? So at the end, they won. In the end, they won, right? A small continent came halfway across the world. Now, look at the leadership of Peru. Look at the leadership of Argentina. Look at the leadership of Brazil, the largest economy in Latin America. Who runs it? European descent Latinos.
Okay.
They won.
If they run it, let me ask you a question. Then why does China own 70% of North America? Last time I checked, they ain't white. You feel me?
Well,
The
not,
same Chinese, hold on. The same Chinese that we had to go over there in World War II and help because the Japanese were slaughtering them on a genocide style. We had to
so
go over there and help them. They hold on. Wait. No, we talking about past, present, and current, bro. Let me tell you something, bro. You know why we don't put heavy sanctions and don't be talking all this shit, Democrat or Republican, don't really be talking trash about China because we can't, bro. I don't know if y'all study, other people's militaries, bro. We got a bunch of, let's just keep it a buck. I don't care what color they are, black, white, or Hispanic. We got a bunch of Fortnite nerds. We got a bunch of pink, purple-haired, 100-pound sissies running around here. We don't have enough men to fight off a country as big as like China or India. Have you seen? We ain't got it, bro.
Let me respond.
We don't.
First and foremost, now we're conflating, right? Because
conflating.
Yeah, you're
getting your ass kicked is not being conflated, sir.
Let him answer your question.
Let me finish.
Let the brother finish, man.
You're complaining because at the end of the day, I talked about how these countries have ruled the ancient and modern world. Now it is time for the Asians to come in, right? But that statement doesn't negate history. At the end of the day, the European, through war, through treaty, through sex, through prostitution, whatever, they have conquered the quote unquote known world several times over. The Greeks, the Romans, the Spain. That's why South America speaks Spanish or Portuguese, European languages. Right? They have dominated, point blank, period. How many people that are not black and are not on the continent of Africa speaking Kiswahili? Not a stick.
Okay.
So let me let my play.
Go ahead, brother.
So at the end of the day, they have conquered through education. they have conquered through militarily, or they have conquered through culture and language. You guys are extremely undermining what they have done and how they have terraformed this world. Even we are speaking a European language of German, of German background, because English is a German background. We even think European, even though we are white. Right? Du Bois said, right? On the outside we are black, but we have a European mind. Because when we go across the border, you can even when we travel, we can see it. And OG can know what I'm talking about, right? When we come out of America and we go into Asia and stuff like that, our mind is very European. So at the end of the day, and I'm gonna land my plane here, right? You are seriously undermining who these people are. Now, their time has come, right? Their time has come because Asia's next. I'll agree with you there. But these people, you are seriously undermining. I'll pass the mic.
I agree with
And
that.
where
And
does where does that leave Black Americans, man, or Black people as a whole? Like, and maybe King, you may be right. So are we looking towards Chinese supremacy or something like that? Like what? Like that still doesn't like what does that make for our case? Like I still
Well,
don't like where does it leave us still?
okay. Well, basically, I hadn't got there. The point I was just trying to make was to undermine his argument. You feel me? Was that they are not unbeatable. You feel me? Because a lot of us believe that we originated from this land, North America. We are the indigenous people. And if people don't believe that, they say at least over 70, 80% are mixed with the so-called $5 Indians, the red man from over here. So I don't know about y'all, but most people I know have pictures from their great grandmother, whatever, that show dark haired looking people, but with a different texture of hair. If you ever remember going to school back in the day, people would talk about such and such and such and such. They'd be like, hey, man, you see that dude? He look African. Well, if we're from Africa, why is it that certain people look African and we don't? You can instantly tell an African, and they dress like us. They try to talk like us. They're teaching classes all over the internet right now on how to speak like American Black people. I don't give a damn. If you look at them, you can still tell they're not us. But I said that about China to say this. These people are not unbeatable. The same with the Native Americans and the same with the Zulus in South Africa and other places around the world where they got kicked out and they got beat up. So the point is they're not the greatest and the best. They do have great tactics and they are strong. But as you see through history, things change. Now, again, check this out. You talk about the Europeans and their influence and that they've dominated and conquered, the southern part of North America and Central America and South America. I have to disagree because if I remember correctly, Maximilian got his behind kicked and that whole regime and all his European collaborators got thrown out of Mexico. And then Benito Juarez and the true people of the land took over. Yeah, they might speak that language, but guess what? All them folks who was loyal to Spain, they gone. You go talk to a Mexican now and say Viva la Spain and see what'll happen to you. And I found that out, I'm talking about, I was young, they say F Spain. And that's why they took over. From Benito Juarez, they fought for it and they won. So again, this Europe that you say is so strong, and like Roger said, if they attack you, sock them in the mouth. Don't sock them in the mouth. Why not? Because sometimes they get socked in the mouth and they lose. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna land my plane here. You feel me? I would rather down my feet in battle than down my knees like a coward. I don't care how big a so-and-so is. If Andre the Giant or somebody come at me and try to attack me or my family and we all going with bare hands, I'm going to give him everything I got to let him know this ain't what you want. That's what a man is. I don't care if you're a black man, a white man, a brown man, a purple man, a man from Jupiter. A man's going to fight to defend his. This is our land. You have more black millionaires, black men, millionaires in this country than ever in the history of North America. You feel me? Black men are 56% in the middle class. So all this, we're being conquered. No, like Roger said, we're on the rise, bro. And we're doing that with them coming at us with these dishonest and disloyal and unfair tactics, using collaborators, using our women, all this other stuff. We're still rising, bro. Like Tupac say, still I rise. Show me another group that can still rise like this, and we doing it on our own with everybody against us. Church.
I think people is
this is a perfect example.
misinterpreting.
Hold on one second. This is a perfect example with Kevin 3095 was saying. This is a perfect example, right? Where black women will say, "Oh, we're the most educated, we're most this." What King just said is a perfect example of how delusional we are. How delusional we are. We're the most millionaires and the fastest growing million. No one sat here and say black men are not capable. No one has ever said that. But we sound like that matriarchal mindset when we sit here and say, "Oh, we're outpacing and we're outdoing this," when that stuff is just not true. It's just not true on the collective scale. Now, that doesn't mean that black people are not capable. No one on the panel has ever said that. But when you're tallying the score, right, at the end of the day, conquistadors did subjugate Latin America. That is fact because they speak Spanish. The Portuguese subjugated Brazil. That is a fact because they speak Portuguese. That is a sign of they've been conquered. Also, the Portuguese and the Latins do not look the same. And I'm going to bring it right back, Roger. I'm going to bring it right back right now. They don't look how they looked back then because they breed and immix. This is why pale skin is the desired beauty in Latin America, and this is why the number one selling cosmetic cream is whitening cream. Now, saying all that to say this, when you look on a global scale, domestic scale, and the neighborhood scale, the white man is whipping our ass as collectives. As collectives. He's whipping our ass in America. He's whipping our ass in the neighborhood. And we're not even thought about on the global scale, so forget about it. Now, that's not saying we don't fight back, but at the end of the day, I just don't understand how we not can see that, realize that, and do what Shark Sim says. Okay, now and Shark Sim and Jado say, okay, let's make a plan. We sound delusional. We sound like the women that talk about, oh, I'm a PhD though. We sound like that.
So nobody's saying don't make a plan. Nobody who's espousing
No,
that.
but we saying these
Hold
plans
on, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get in.
Like
The thing is, you know what I'm saying, black men, you know, we buy into nonsense. I'm gonna say that. We buy into nonsense. Okay. At the end of the day, what country are we in? You know, in general, y'all, what country I know technically a couple people ain't in this country right now. What country are we in?
America.
Okay. So when you hear black people talk about it, do they talk about America? I'm talking about generally when y'all hear black people talking. Do they talk about America as if it's their country or somebody else's?
As somebody else's. That's the problem.
Definitely somebody else's. Yes, definitely yes. Definitely somebody else's.
Okay.
See, it's a bad starting point. Go on, Roger.
If you haven't accepted that this is your country, then how can you accept that you're supposed to rule it?
Facts.
Now, if you haven't accepted that you're supposed to rule it, when you gonna try?
Come on, man. Preach.
Well,
and that is why Roger, like, that is why people, that's why I respect when they brought out ADOS and FBA, because it's all in the language. If you're going to keep calling yourself something that you're not, African American, no, we are American descendants of slavery. This is our land. And if we're not going to act like this is our shit, if we're not going to understand it, then we definitely ain't going to be prepared to fight. And as far as what you were saying about doing stuff they can't do stuff by themselves. You ain't supposed. Michael Jordan can't beat 5 basketball players on the joint, but he got players that help him play. This is what white people have a knack in doing, is getting other people to play with them.
No, and
put their foot on our neck.
That's fine to say, but at the end of the day, is also a reason why I can't even see you as a superior. Because at the end of the day, if you were superior, you just handled it yourself. That's just
there
real
you
talk.
go.
You know what I'm saying? That's just how the world works.
Not only that, why are they trying to be so secretive and hide everything and cover it up? And we're not doing anything. Like, yeah, put it out there. Like, if you so doggone superior and you so much better, just stand on it.
Yeah, that's not
Roger,
that's not how you fight a war.
Roger, let me ask you this question real quick. Did you just say if you're superior, you do it by yourself? Did you just say that?
I said, yeah. If you're superior, why don't you just handle it yourself?
So Michael Jordan ain't shit then, because he ain't win shit without Pippen.
No. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was in a team sport. Michael Jordan was in a team sport, and when his team needed wins, he handled it himself.
Okay. Hold on. Why you think
Not
Kevin
true,
Garnett
Roger.
didn't get a
Stop
ring till he
it.
went to the Boston Celtics?
Larry Bird is hitting
That's all I'm
all
gonna say.
net today. All net. All net. And I think we're agreeing more than we're disagreeing. It's a starting point in which we need to understand. The Bible says you build your house on good soil and not sand, because the sand gonna wash away. If we build our house on lies, it ain't gonna stand, bro.
So okay, so check this out. This is to the other brother that was talking, the former Michelle Obama avatar from last week. All right,
Larry
the homie.
Bird.
There you go.
Larry Bird.
You feel me? Yeah, he had pictures of Big Mike Obama up there. All right, now check this out.
Michael.
Yeah, it's Michael for sure. But no, for real though. So you say that if somebody has, given another people their language and their culture, then you mean that person or that group has conquered that people. That's what you're saying, right?
That is a sign of being conquered.
It's a
That is
sign.
absolutely
Okay. So let me stop you right there. Now, there's quite a few North American white content creators. I even see European content creators that say, yo, hit that like button. I wonder who they got that from. I see a
They got that
whole
from
bunch
us.
of, there it is. But I guess
Yeah,
we conquered them. Wait a minute.
we are the biggest cultural influence on the planet.
Uh-huh.
That's where
Why, but
that's what
why?
that's
Why
what
do they want? If we ain't nothing, go back to what Roger was saying. If we're not better,
Let me
why
address
do
that
they
point.
need to copy us?
Whoa.
Because let me tell you
Stop you
something.
right
If
there.
I
Wait,
perfected a,
no.
what's up? Hold
Let me
on.
stop you right there. No. Because you stopped me and I let you go, right?
No,
So
go ahead.
let me
Go ahead.
stop you right there. Yo, hit the like button. Are all English words, nigga. So at the end of the day, they're speaking English.
No, that was not nigga. It's come from ghetto project English. Hit the like button is proper grammar, what they used to talk. But they started talking, yo, hit that like button or hit
All
the
those
like
words
button
are
in
English.
broken
All those
slang,
words are English.
Negro ghetto English, which is a copy from
All
us.
those
That's
words are
our shit,
English.
homie. They took that. You feel me? If you got a cow and we chop off some pieces and fry to make chicken fried steak, we did that. I
Well,
want to see you do that unless you got the knowledge. You got to
can I
copy.
can I jump in right quick?
Oh, no. Wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let Passport OG get in.
Do I have privilege or not, Roger?
No,
Because
go
No.
this is
ahead,
the
go
Go.
ahead,
whole.
go ahead,
I was saying that
go
before you
ahead, Larry
said that.
Bird.
Go ahead, and
Go
then
ahead, Larry
let's let
Bird.
Passport OG get
No,
in.
passport. No, I like passport OG, but go ahead. But I'm right after him. I like him,
Well,
so go ahead.
have any of you guys ever played Risk? You know the
Yes.
game where
Yes.
basically you're trying to protect like North America, but you got to protect it in 3 places, and you're trying to protect Asia, but you got to protect in like 5 places, and then and like someone smart always runs to Australia and waits, right? Like you don't have to beat everybody. Sometimes the goal is to survive. Like you survive, and then you look at the landscape a little bit later and see where's my place in this landscape, because that's us. Because we can talk about victory or conquer or whatever. We're still here. You know who's not in Congress arguing about their place? Native Americans. Like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying whatever happened between 300-400 years ago and now, they don't have any political wherewithal because they're not here. So half of the battle, especially when you're a minority or someone. I mean, you know this, Larry Bird. You if you play Go, or where it was basically about controlling the board. Sometimes it's not about trying to destroy. It's not chess. Sometimes it's buying time. It's I can't win right now. So the idea that we're supposed to win right now, that I think that's an idea, that's a concept that is way in left field. What the idea right now should be is, how can we take a little bit of this black culture and preserve it in this really hostile climate, and make sure that our grandkids can still know that even with all this crazy stuff that we've seen, collard greens and neck bones still they still hit. Because otherwise, I mean, how many Native American kids are learning about, rain dances? It's not there anymore. And they got a spot. They got a place. We don't. So my addition to this argument is maybe our goal is not supposed to be we're supposed to dominate and conquer because we've never been in position to do that. Maybe we're supposed to sit in the corner when some other countries are saying, hey, it's our time now, big dog. And we say, okay. And just wait.
And that's why I say when your
on,
enemies are going to war, sit back and mind your business. Just
I
sit back,
agree.
mind your business, eat your popcorn, and let them do what they do, and we come in and pick up the pieces.
I agree that this is not our time. I agree. I mean, I do think we're supposed to rule, but I do agree with you. It's not our time. But some of us, I'm not going to mention names like King, over here trying to get us smirked in the middle of a conflict.
No,
and that's
I'm not.
the problem.
Not me.
Let me, huh?
I'm not a kamikaze pilot, dog. I'm not built for that. No.
Yeah. I hear. Neither am I. But I mean, like King is up here talking about fly that motherfucker into the boat, right? So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm sit to the side. That know your enemy. Asian philosophy is strike when the timing is right, and the timing is not right. But I do want to just say one thing, right? Now, when he made that comment about how we are influential, right? Black Americans did not go over to a place, change a person's language, change the way they look, and put other black people into power in a foreign country that's thousands of miles from where you are. And the fact that he related that to people speaking Ebonics on YouTube is nasty work, it's diabolical, and I'm not even going to address that. That is just
I'm just saying, but
diabolical
that's what you
delusion.
said, though. You said the language. Okay, Spain and Portugal get no GDP or no natural resources from that whole continent down there. They
Not
rebelled, they fought.
anymore, but in the beginning they
So
did not anymore.
okay. So wait a minute. You keep going back to well, they did. Then we talking about now.
Because
Which
that's
is
what I
it,
was
brother?
talking about.
Because hold on.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait a minute. So let me ask you this. So what control do they really have? Okay, over that whole continent down there. If they get no money from them, they can't call on them to go to war. Their army. They can't borrow their ships, their planes. None of that. Even if they, like the neighbor says, hey, I need a cup of sugar. They're not their neighbor. It's up with them. They don't get along. And let's talk about this whole language thing. Okay, this is America, right?
Can I
So
answer
for the
that
most
question?
part,
Can I answer
for
that
the most
question?
part, the language is English, right?
So you're not.
Hold on.
So
The
you're not
majority of white
All right.
people over here in America are not English. I don't hear Irish people speaking Gaelic over here either. I don't hear Italian Americans speaking Italian on the street in mass either. And I know quite a few Italians. You feel me? It just is what it is, bro. It is what it is. And I'm gonna tell you
So
something. Hold on. If you talk about English, that was one group of people. You see what happened? They came over here and got beat not once, but got beat twice. Now, since I actually have skin in the game, and I had family who fought in the American Revolution and in the War of 1812, going back to my ancestors. Maybe some of y'all need to trace y'all's lineage, right? And they even say in the Civil War and in the American Revolution, if it had not been for the addition of free men,
bro,
black
you're
soldiers.
everywhere. You're
Hold,
everywhere.
hold
You're
on, hold
everywhere.
on, bro.
You're
I'm
everywhere.
trying to see. You have to cut it off because you know this is the tactic right here to try to stop the information from getting out. You want
I'm
niggas
not
to be buck dancing
everywhere.
thinking they're weak and can't beat certain people. I'm not saying you got to attack people. What I am saying is when certain people attack you, you need to be able, you know what I'm talking about, to deal with that. And we have. So that's my point. Thanks for cutting me off though, because you know what I'm saying, it was getting greasy. Yeah, again, like I say, you go into the historical archives, go to the National Library of Congress. The colonists would not have won. There would be no America if it had not been for the black soldiers, you feel me, that fought for the American Revolution. We were fighting so hard, King George and the British and Lord General Cornwallis was begging some of the blacks who wasn't fighting, hey, come over here, fight with us. We need some of them. This the same thing happened in Alabama. You feel me? Back in the 60s, when you know I'm talking about a few schools got black running backs, safeties, wide receivers on their team. The mother boys, I don't care how much racist and how much they hated blacks were, they said, hey man, we got to get some of them big old black boys. Bear Bryant said that in Alabama. We got to get some of them big old black boys. And ever since then, look at Alabama. Because Alabama got shut down by some of the northern schools like Michigan and other ones who had turned into not co-ed, but you know what I'm saying, co-racial. So that's all I'm saying, brother. I'm not saying we going to conquer the white man and all that. What I am saying is we are a valuable asset to anybody who tries to work with us instead of work against us. And they have to do dirty, sneaky, underhanded tactics to try to keep us from rising. If they didn't do it, bro, we would already be on top.
So
we
hold
got
on.
no.
I'm going to respond to this. I'm going to respond because this nigga went on a rant.
And
So
I'm going after you. I'm going after you. Go
First
ahead.
and foremost, let the record show. I was talking about the ancient world, and this nigga's now landed in football, right? So, but yet somehow I'm off topic, right? Second, I was talking about the ancient world, how they were conquered. This is undisputable fact. How Latin America paid tribute to Spain, again, undisputable fact. And even when Europe conquered the Americas, America was paying taxes to England. Undisputable facts until they said we had enough. But the point is, I was talking about one particular instance in history. And this good dude is going left, right, up, down, the center. And somehow we landed in Alabama. Sir, when you
Alabama's in America. We're conquered, right?
When you debate
Alabama's in America. You're talking about America. You took it to the present, so don't say I took it over there. You was everywhere. Don't tell me I took it everywhere. Right after you interrupted me twice when I turned up the hot grease. Go ahead.
See now you hurt because the real truth is coming out. Because I was talking about one point in time, and I was right on that one point in time. Because obviously now things have changed. That's hundreds of years ago. But the fact of the matter is, Europeans did terraform the known world, and that's just facts. Now, are they doing this? Are they at the height or at the zenith of their power today as they were during that? Obviously not. But nobody made that argument. And so next time, if you want to debate with me, please stay on subject.
Why do we always devolve? Like, go ahead, my bad, Rod.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I did say I'm gonna have to go next here. Now I'm gonna say this, y'all. When it comes down to it, who beat black people in America? Who defeated them?
White people. They literally whipped you in front of your family. They literally
who defeated black people? No. You talking about some Africans? You talking about some Africans or the enslaved class or whatever the case is? Who defeated black people?
Nobody defeated us once we were established. Nobody. We got to do a better job with our political power and our influence. Like once we were established after slavery, nobody came in and just defeated us. Things happened. We had towns burned down, but we still exist. The Indians are defeated.
Okay. Now I'm gonna say this. What I'm looking at is the people who really did something to black folks, or how white folks got a lot of victories over black folks. Black people did that.
Yes.
Was it not black people selling out other black people so they can get trinkets?
Correct.
Was that not happening? Am I way too off?
No, that was happening. But what happened to them black people who sold black people out for trinkets? Nothing. Their families are still here thriving.
You're way off, Roger. You're way off because, you're way off. You're way off.
Okay, all right. You gonna say that? All right, but you know what? I'm gonna let Brad. I'm gonna let Brad come in because I'm gonna say. Well, I'm gonna just say, look, black folks, when we fight, we seem to win. Okay, that happened with the Civil War. You know what I'm saying? It happened in the American Revolution. We start fighting, we start winning.
Roger, let me ask you a question. I just want to ask a question. I'm gonna give it back to whoever. Just a quick question for Roger and everybody listening. What did the Native Americans specifically say about the Buffalo Soldiers versus the regular American Union Army, the cavalry, even their best white soldiers? What did they say about the Buffalo Soldiers, Roger?
It was fierce and
Yeah, that
diabolical.
they was like unstoppable.
We, the prostitution rested its breast.
I mean, like, why? I mean, I get like
But
what,
yeah,
why? I'm
hold
sorry,
on,
Roger.
Jado, say what you gonna say. But after Jado, let me get Brad, and Brad then
I'm
came
just,
up. So
I'm just,
Jado, say what you saying. We're
why-
gonna get Brad in after you.
but I'm just saying, like, why are we like devolving? Why are we arguing indisputable fact though? Like, can we move forward from this stuff? Like, we trying to rewrite history but man, like, come on, man. We know this stuff, man. Let's move ahead. Like, dog, what Larry Bird was saying, man, it's indisputable, man. Why are we lying to ourselves? Like, let's move
Because
ahead, man. And no
the,
one
the
saying that we're incapable. No one said that. No one said white people are undefeatable. No one said that, man. Let's move ahead. My bad. Let's let the brother get in. Let the old boy get in. My bad.
Brad,
Go on,
go ahead.
Brad.
Hey, Roger. Thank you for letting me on. Great discussion so far. I think the reason why, as Black men in the US or even globally, the reason why we have not created civilizations like that, or we haven't had a collective group of power, is because black men and black people, we are so fundamentally different compared to everybody else. My question would be, it's more of a question than a statement. Do you think it would be in our best interest for us to take certain group attributes and traits and make us a global power, Roger? Or what do you think about that?
That question, you need to work on the question real so because that's not saying anything for real.
No,
You saying making somebody a global power. You just
no,
can't make somebody a global
no,
power.
but
What
do you think that we should take like certain characteristics for us to advance for us to like advance us as the black race? Because when we're
the
doing,
black folks, just like other folks, all types of people have ruled the world at this particular point, y'all. I don't know if y'all know that, but according to history, some of everybody done kind of ruled the world at this particular point. So everybody done did it. Okay. Now, when it come down to it, it's about where we at today. Where we at today is, you know, since so many people look at Black Americans as being so important, and we can say that that's the truth. People look at Black Americans as a very important group of people. Now y'all can do whatever you want to figure out why that is. At the end of the day, just dominate where you're at. It's not like America's a place that you cannot dominate. The thing is, a lot of us, we don't take an ownership position when it comes to America because white people do a lot of foolishness. I ain't gonna say they don't. I can't see you as superior if you say, well, this is how we gonna do things, but then every time I look up you cheating. To me, cheating is not something superior people do. Great people want to beat you at your best. That's the way I see the world. And maybe y'all don't see it that way, but that's how I see it. Great people want to beat you at your best. So I don't see greatness in them. I just don't. I see more trickery than them. I see them as more demonic. They are very much more willing to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah, but
And they're
Roger,
willing to do it for reasons that cannot be justified.
but
It just is
Roger,
what it is.
Not only that,
they're
I'm
not
hearing
shooting
some of
to
you guys kind of give them credit for
they're
doing that.
not shooting to be great people. They're shooting to be winners. So what Brad is basically saying is, if we gotta adapt underhanded and conniving ways so we could get on top, that's what we need to be doing. Like
yeah,
if you
Okay, so
talk
so
about the
so who's
people who
that? Shark?
trade,
Shark.
huh?
That's a great sentiment. Here's the thing: these are the same people that'll tell you, no, we did it fair and square, and we
So what? We know
didn't
they did.
lie, cheat, steal, and destroy, and
That's
like these are
We
the
know
same.
they
And
didn't. but we know they
yes, they
didn't.
are doing
Kev.
that. They're literally doing that.
I said
That's
we
their
know they didn't
nature,
do it
though.
fairly.
Like, we,
We know they didn't do it fairly. So why should we
It
try to
don't
do it
matter. That's
fairly?
what they're trying to portray it as. Like,
Who
look how great we
cares?
are. We did
Oh,
all this
but
fair and square. You guys just are not better than
okay,
us.
look.
Who cares? Do it
Fundamental
how the winners are
question.
doing it.
Fundamental question. Do you need to cheat to win? That's the
Yeah,
fundamental question then.
we ne-
Yes, yes,
yes,
yes,
100%.
100%. Yes.
yes. God damn it,
And I'm gonna
yes.
say
Yes.
this where y'all been hanging around white people too long.
All
right.
right. Come on. Right.
They sit here. Look.
Roger,
They
Hey,
sit
why
here.
are we?
Roger.
You
What
giving
are
them
we?
all
Are
this
we?
credit.
Are we banking on some moral thing with these folks? Like, I don't. We've been dealing with them all these centuries.
No,
When is
have
this
we?
fair thing gonna
No.
happen, man?
Wait.
Sergeant Roger don't want to be moral in a
No.
immoral fight.
This is
Look,
my
it's not
thing.
even about morality. You guys are missing the
This
point. You guys are talking about this morality thing. It's not even about that. Okay,
no
What is
no.
so
it?
fine.
What is it?
So
Kevin,
But
you're
how is
talking
it
about
okay for them to
Their
lie,
morality.
cheat, steal,
nature,
or
their
kill?
nature is deception. Lie, cheat, steal,
So,
kill. That's
Okay, so
their
how is it okay for
nature.
them to do that and you can't do it and get away with it either? So
okay,
if they can
fellas,
do it, all of us should be able to do it.
So what are we
guys.
fellas,
arguing then?
My point is
fellas.
this: you don't need to lie, cheat, and steal to do it. The thing is, we ain't really tried to do it. At no point in American history am I aware of black men as a group attempted to dominate the country. I still believe, just because of how I hear people talk today, black people talk as if America ain't their own country. And I just can't see nobody trying to dominate something that you don't even believe is yours. And
Well,
if your
I want
answer is we need to dominate so people can feel better, cool, I can accept that. But when we gonna decide that it's ours, therefore we can dominate? Because you don't dominate something that you don't believe belongs to you. That's natural. That's naturally the way humans operate.
No.
I,
This is
You're 100% right.
but I'm going to disagree because white people believe in. Oh, I'm going to take that shit. It
Exactly.
ain't mine,
But they believe it's
right?
theirs.
No. They know it's not there because they're going to say, "I'm going to take it."
No,
look,
No,
you're missing the point of what he's trying to say, though.
No. You guys are
no,
missing the point of what I'm saying. You're missing the point.
no. White people believe in
Oh my
manifest
God!
destiny. It was mine before I got it.
Can I finish a statement before you interject? Please.
If you tell the
Jesus
truth,
Christ.
Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth.
So at the end of the day, I have seen white people that say, I'm going to take it. And when you say you're going to take it, you know it's not yours. You know that shit's not going to belong to you. What do they say? Rob, kill, steal, and destroy. That is their nature. White people do not need to believe that it belongs to me or it's mine, therefore I need to rule it. No, they believe I will steal that shit. Because at the end of the day, what I believe as a white person is that I believe in winning. I believe in being at the number one spot. If I'm not the number one spot, I will lose my shit. I will
but
crash out.
but
Yeah.
And that is the difference.
I want to say this. I want to say this on behalf of Raj. Right? There's a difference between taking the hill and keeping the hill. So think about it this way: America took the hill. Okay, fine. But look at the culture that America has now. I'm not talking about the degenerate black fatigue that we're hearing about on YouTube all the time. I'm talking about the regular white kids, the kids,
you
the
talking about
trench coat
cracker
mafia,
culture. You
the
talking about
trench
cracker
coat
culture.
mafia kids, the girls that are graduating high school and starting OF. Like that's them keeping the hill. Like, okay, fine, they took the hill. If keeping the hill is our kids, our daughter's going to turn 18 and do OF, our boys are going to be trench coat mafia. They're going to like I it, we. I don't know if the winning play is to say they won doing it this way, so we got to win doing it the same way because it's unsustainable. We can see that. Like even they can see that we got to do something that's more sustainable than this because truth be told, white men and white women aren't even getting along. Like, how do you build your next generation of white boys that are going to do whatever when you got essentially white women saying, "I don't even want to have kids." Like, I'm not saying that this is good or bad in terms of the white culture. I'm saying if we're trying to mimic a culture that can't
That's
heat the
part of.
hill, like
To use
and
your
then
example from risk,
Let him
to use your
finish.
example from
Let him
risk,
finish.
that's part of our opportunity. They're no longer procreating at the rate that they need to be
no,
procreating. That's
but
when
we
we
can't.
need to be saying it's important for us to have marriage and children. See, we're
But
supposed to be taking advantage of that.
Thank you.
who is we? Who is we?
We don't
We
even
need
have a
We, the
we.
black folk, the
who
foundational black Americans, the descendants of slaves. This is
hey,
our time to say
who
it's time to bring back women,
who
our families, and children.
who's
Go
the
ahead.
female? Who's our female counterpart that believes what you just said?
Whoever whoever believes in us. See, here's the thing. Y'all keep thinking we need women to do what we got to do. We need black women. They need us. We can go get any woman and get a black baby.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you
Yes, you
can't.
can.
No,
Yes,
you
you can.
cannot. No,
What?
you
What?
cannot.
Hold,
Nigga,
hold, hold,
you keep
hold fast. Hold
saying
fast.
Patrick
We
Mahomes
hold
is
on.
black.
Hold on.
Let me
We
go
never
ahead.
gonna have that argument because it ain't necessary. At the end of the day, if you want to reproduce our culture, you
Thank
can
you.
Yes.
reproduce that with any woman. Don't
Any
you know what I'm
woman will
saying?
do.
Not
The
genetics.
culture is gonna be far more important than the skin tone. At the end of the day.
I disagree. No, I disagree.
And
No,
I'm
God,
gonna
no.
say at some point in time, black people gonna have to be comfortable telling white people what to do. And let's just keep it real. The average black person, I don't care how advanced and what they know, they're just not comfortable with that type of idea.
But
I
we're
deal in
not gonna.
stuff because I believe in stuff. Yeah, how many times have I said, for an example, if I came home and found out my daughter was getting, sexually assaulted by the neighbor across the street, what am I gonna go do? I'm gonna go over there and kill dude.
I'm gonna
I'm
kill
not
him.
gonna talk to nobody about this. I'm not gonna ask nobody's permission. I'm gonna go do my job as a father. And dude is gone. Okay?
But we
Because
can't reproduce our culture like this. I mean, this is the risk analogy. We have to sacrifice something in order to keep a seed of our culture alive. But our what is inevitable is that our culture is going to be an amalgamation of a little bit of black culture mixed with other cultures. That's what we got.
That's true. That's very true. That's
That's
very
what we
true
got.
because that.
Like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
No,
good.
no,
Bro.
no. Finish it off. Finish off, Larry. Go ahead.
Because what Passport OG is saying is very true. Because the thing about it is, and no offense to you guys, but he and I've been living in other we've been living in other cultures for a very long time, for years, right? When you marry outside of your race, your child is not going to keep black culture because her culture and her environment is stronger. It's just you talking about Black History Month in February and shit versus the family,
Yeah, that's right.
versus the environment, versus the neighborhood you're living in. Because you're not going to be living in Detroit. You're going to be living in wherever around her community more times than not.
that
You got to
makes
be in Detroit. You got
But
that
but
hold
the
on.
trade
That
off.
makes sense for somebody who lives outside the country.
Abroad.
I'm
Yeah.
even talking
Yes.
about in the U.S.
Even within the
I'm
US.
talking about the U.S.
That applies here too.
If you're marrying a person of a different race, you're not living in North
Oh,
Philadelphia where 90% of the people are black.
well,
You're
no,
going to
no,
be
no.
living in
Here, this is what I'm saying. When it comes to
but you guys got to let me make my point. My point is that even when you're in the U.S., you're going to be living more around her culture, her friends, her family, because they have a more intact, more cohesive, more
Yes.
cooperating culture than we do.
The
Our
trade
culture is
off.
not cooperative.
The
Well,
trade
well,
off is we get kids that get a tiger mom that are going to
Right.
be eating with chopsticks and they can do math with a little bit of black culture versus getting swallowed up by a culture that just doesn't work.
well, it's the same
Yeah, but
thing that's reaching us here in
okay,
America. Basically, you need a motherboard. Basically,
I think it
you're
depends on how
comfortable.
strong the dad is, to be honest
well,
with you.
And
hold
that's why
on. First
you
of
need a
all,
woman.
well, you got to be realistic about American culture. all the cultures have mixed. No one has a dominant culture who's in America. There ain't no Irish people living a dominant Irish culture lifestyle.
Yes, we are. What?
No.
What? Wait,
They will
Roger, you
celebrate
wilding.
some holidays here or there, and that's where, and it's gonna stop right about there.
No, Roger.
American
Facts.
culture is an amalgamation of a bunch of people's different cultures from around the world. But
Melting
no
pot.
one here generally is living a dominant culture of the country they came from.
Roger, go to
It
Flushing,
might be diluted, but it's still going to be
Queens.
strong.
Go to Flushing, Queens. Go to Chinatown. They live
Go
in
to
their culture.
Chinatown. Go to Italy. Go to Little Italy and go to Little Italy in Philly.
That's
or go
not
to
everywhere.
You
That's
can
not
always
everywhere.
find
And
you
there's
can
barely
always
any
find
Italians in Little
some
Italy
people.
anymore. Come on, man.
You can always find some people who are from the other place, or maybe a first or second generation no kid from that place. But after that, that's pretty much dead.
When
Chinatown
we
I
any
get
major
say
metropolitan area. Chinatown any metropolitan area. Italians in any major metropolitan area. The Irish, and the Polish, any metropolitan area in America. Any of them.
oh Lord.
I'm not saying
Polish? Are
they
you
don't
serious?
keep parts of
Polish?
their. Everybody keeps parts of what they come from. Everybody does
And
that.
the Mormons and
Now,
goddamn Utah.
now, this is the thing about Black American culture. It's ours to develop as we so choose. So we don't need to worry about whatever it was beforehand. Because at the end of the day, we had to create our own culture. It ain't going nowhere. Whoever you choose to have children with, then she's going to understand that your culture is going to be the dominant culture. Or why would you marry her in the first place?
Facts. If you're
Yeah,
a
you gotta
man,
be the household leader.
Bingo. To follow up his example, my ex-wife is of Jamaican descent. Her mother and father are from Jamaica. When we went to go visit Jamaica, they call her a Yankee.
Kamala Harris?
No.
I like that. That's nice.
in Jamaica,
I
but
like that. But they
Not
call
the-
her a Yankee, and she was like, no, I'm Jamaican, and they were like, no, you a Yankee.
all right.
Hey, so
Kamala Harris is not black.
when we talk about preserving Black American culture, man, we kind of speak on it very like it's a vague type. What exactly are we trying to preserve, man?
We
Because
are we are
culture is just what you do, which we do a lot of things, man. But what
Yeah,
are we trying to preserve? What idea are
excellent.
we trying to?
our creativity. Our creativity as a people, we have a creative gene about us that is unique that the world loves. When it shows up in so many ways, it shows up in IT, it shows up in literature, it shows up in music. We are a creative people.
Also, I
That's what
wanted
we
to
are.
throw in the fact that
We are Americans. You got to accept that first. We are Americans, and we are a creative people that are distinct in the way that we are American, and everybody else sees it but us.
I
There it
mean,
is.
yeah,
I think I
I
think that
believe that's a characteristic, but is that I mean, I get it. I think we are like a unique type of people, but what is that? Is that a culture? Creativity is not a
Yeah,
culture.
Well, I tell you,
it's
hold
damn
on.
sure
I
ain't.
tell you what. Let's talk
It's an
about the
attribute.
positives versus the negative. You know what I'm saying? We need to not try to copy some of these other groups and hold on to so-called our culture, right? Per capita, hold on, you got the white man in America, outdoes us in incest, in arson, and in pedophilia. So I think our traditional black culture, maybe we need to hold on to the fact that traditionally black Americans did not participate in mass in that type of activity. Therefore, we do not need to assimilate into the negatives. Maybe we can take some positives from every culture in America and continue to, do better. But a lot of these other cultures are toe up. You got cultures that are dominating over here that eat dogs, man, that eat rats. You can ask them. They do it, and they're dominating over here. They're making
Man,
money.
come
They're
on,
turning out
bro.
more doctors per capita. They have a
well,
higher
well,
income
and
level.
on
You feel me?
if
But
you
they do things that are disgusting.
and on
We
if
top of
don't.
you
that,
want if you
on
want to
top of that,
define let me say real quick, if you want to define like the black ADOS experience, it's adaptability and our ability to be creative, to make do, like in any circumstance, like whatever you want to call that, because our culture has continuously evolved. from the church culture, the jazz to the juke joint to hip hop. It is we're in this environment. We got to figure out a way to adapt and identify ourselves. That's
And
it.
survive.
That's
So
So
here's
Jado,
something that
basically our
maybe
culture is entertainment.
no, it's not entertainment.
That's what you just named:
It's
jazz
it.
and rap
Okay,
and
okay.
hip
He's
hop.
using those as
It's
I
examples.
don't know why you
okay.
guys are so
But
confused
give it,
about what Black American
but
culture is. It's a lot of things, right?
No,
But
no,
it's
no.
important.
I'm just saying,
It's
like we
Since
speak
it's my
vaguely.
show, I'm finna
Yeah,
take a
it is.
dominant
It is,
role and
man.
just say it like this, y'all. The reason Black American culture has always been a problem for most Black folks is because you are so busy giving credit to white folks for anything positive, and you want to hold on to the negativity and say that's your culture. That's what Black people do from a general standpoint.
Come on,
Everything that's
bro.
good, you do not promote as your own because you have a cultural low self-esteem because you listen to white people too much. Now, I'm not saying
So, but
anybody on the panel. I'm saying this is generally for Black people, period. Okay, that's been in this country. We generally care way too much about what somebody else tells us our culture is than us accepting what our culture is. And that's just the way it works at the end of the day.
And
Absolutely,
what?
Roger.
But
And
we,
you know what?
let me
No,
say
no,
this.
no Asian man's gonna let you
Ho-
tell you. Gonna let some Black person or white person tell him what his culture is. And Black people do that as a collective. I've noticed that. I've had to correct way too many Black people on that.
this
So,
is
so hold on.
another
Let me
sensitive. This is
hold on.
everybody
another.
Let me
hold
say this
fast.
real quick.
Everybody hold fast because Black Rule coming up. So he got the mic. Black Rule, you got it, brother. You on mute.
He in the bathroom.
You know what? He must be in the bathroom. I think
Me?
Ivy League was trying to say something. Let him get
Yeah.
in real quick.
So let me. I'll let Passport OG go, and then I'll go after him.
I mean, I'm just saying, simply put, our culture is the ability to adapt in very difficult situations. It's Negro spiritual, it's HBCUs, it's coming up with inventions when we didn't have the ability to patent anything. It's hip hop, like that. That is our culture. It is amoeba. It's something that can adapt to really harsh circumstances, so that we don't have our own country that we can put our back against the wall and say we're going to defend this. We never had that. So to say that we're going to conquer something and take over something, you don't conquer something as an adaptable creature. You adapt to what you have, and you find a way to exist until you have something more than that. Like that is our culture. 40 million of us. Like that's less. That's half of Vietnam. I'm sorry, of Thailand. We don't have. If we had a state of Georgia and say this is us, it'd be different. But if we get all rowdy one day and say we're going to try and take over, blah blah blah, ain't gonna be none of us left. That's just the way it is. Like we have the idea we're going to rise up and take. We can't. Not with 40 million of us. Not with. It's just not possible.
Right.
Our key is taking that special spark that's in us and making sure that spark gets spread out to the rest of the world. In my opinion.
So let me say this, okay? So first of all, let's get a baseline. According to Britannica Encyclopedia, y'all, we all know who Britannica is. If you're over 35, you know what encyclopedia is. All right. So for y'all young, for the YNs, well, if you don't know, that's on you. But for everybody else, Britannica Encyclopedia. What is culture? Language, communication, rituals, roles, customs, expected behaviors, practices, values, thoughts, and that's it. So that is not it's not only fucking jazz or food. It's an amalgamation of things. Customs, rituals, communication, language, thoughts, values, expected behaviors, and practices, such as religion. And religion is also a part of culture as well.
All right, now here's where it get tricky. Tunnel Runner just came up. So Tunnel Runner finna get the last word because we about to hit the 3 hour mark. Tunnel Runner, what you gonna say to close us out?
I was going to say that I have my Colombian wife in one of the blackest neighborhoods in Atlanta. She's surrounded by black people. She's eating black food. She's eating Jamaican food, and she is cooking, mixing the cultures together to keep me happy and strong.
Do your kids speak Spanish?
Sí se puede. Yes, I can.
No, I said, do your
So,
children speak Spanish?
yeah, they will be Spanish and they will
Okay,
be
there you
English.
go, Nick. There you go. There you go. Right there. Started right there.
Huh?
Slippery
But
slope.
they will be surrounded by English speakers in
Slippery
Atlanta.
slope, my brother.
Okay. Yeah, Black Rule just came up, so I'm finna have an extension for him. Kevin 3905, I just brought you backstage. I'm gonna kind of flip around who's up and who's down. So if you get taken down, hey, it is what it is. Y'all thank Black Rule because we're gonna get a slight extension because of him at the end of the day. Black Rule, you got the mic, my brother.
You're mute.
Well, first of all, I hope I'm coming in clear. If
Yes, sir.
not, please let me know.
No, you sound fine. You sound fine.
The, the superiority thing is an interesting debate. I've been kind of going back over sort of the language issue we used. The brother SOS
The
kind of
interpreter.
provoked within me the interpreter kind of reconsider, to what extent the language we use, we create spells with the language we use. Um, the older I get, the more I become more sensitive to that sort of thing. So it does make me, like we use the term white supremacy, and we view it as this sort of pejorative term in regards to oppression, which is, effectively an accurate definition of such. But I'm reconsidering whether or not, I want to refer specifically to that term supremacy. Am I effectively creating a kind of curse upon myself and other people who are not white by using that terminology? I think it's worth, if we're going to create new ways and new approaches to dealing with what we're dealing with, I do think that should and must start with some reconsideration of the language and the way we describe things. And, you guys are making some very potent arguments about how white people have conquered the world and et cetera. Um, I'm beginning to wonder whether or not we need to come up with a different way of viewing that so as not to subconsciously oppress ourselves with their apparent historical success. I mean, do you at some point make a dragon that you yourself is too afraid to confront by what you yourself describe of such? It's not, it's one thing for something to be empirically true. It's another thing to then allow something to be empirically true to then be used as a noose that you put around your own neck. So I do think that as we talk about tactics and strategies and whatever, there does need to be some consideration as to what sort of language you use and the effect that it is having on you. And I do think part of addressing this issue of historical oppression, I do think some of this does have to include some degree of myth making, of some form of hero and God making amongst ourselves. Because some of this is beyond just what is tangible. So a lot of this is metaphysical and to some degree even supernatural. It's got to be such in order for you to have a chance to even confront people with, X number of thousands of nuclear bombs. That's not a war you win in a just merely tactical or tangible world. That's something that's got to be confronted on an intangible and a supernatural level. You're going to have to call upon you gods that you may not necessarily know exist at this time in order to deal with that. And I hope that didn't go too far afield of what you guys are saying. But we've done the Christianity thing. We've done a lot of different things to try to deal with this issue with varying degrees of success. And when I think of the enormity of it, I do think, and that's why I was intrigued by what SOS, the interpreter, was saying, because I do think a different language and a different, almost dimensional perspective has to be brought into the discussion in order for you to even visualize some way of conquering. Because otherwise, it just looks like some enormous a task that is just impossible to even confront, much less defeat.
All right. Just so y'all know, I'm gonna be switching people in and out. So I'm gonna let y'all say something. Then you're gonna get swapped out for somebody else because I got a few people backstage right now. And I'm gonna even take myself down for a little bit, but I'm gonna be swapping people in and out. So don't try to get into a one-on-one with somebody because that other one ain't gonna be there. Because after you get through speaking, you're gonna be swapped out. I'll swap you back in, but after you get through speaking, you will be swapped out.
Hold on, Roger.
Who do you want to control the panel while you're gone, Roger? Who do you want to control the panel?
Hold on. How long are you going to be until you're going to shut down the show?
It depends. We can. We'll do at least another 30 minutes. At least another 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Can we do like, because I want to ask you something afterwards, but I'm getting a little bit sleepy. But because I want to ask you something after the show, so can we do 15 minutes?
Okay. All right. He just shortened it. He just shortened it. Y'all got 15 minutes.
Hey, Roz,
so wait. So can you put me backstage? Just leave me backstage then, because I'm gonna wait. I want to talk like after. So just drop me now. All right.
Okay. 10-4. Gotcha.
Roz, I'm gonna drop down. I wanted to. Yeah, I'll come back up later. But I'm gonna drop down.
Hey, Roger, I'm in Asia too, so let me get some sleep. But I appreciate you having me up, and I enjoy these conversations. I really do.
Passport OG, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you, my brother. Always honor and a pleasure.
And I enjoy just kicking the ideas around because, I mean, it's as crazy as it might seem. These ideas are going to be in our subconscious, and we're going to be digesting these ideas, and we're going to come back and talk about this in a couple months. And we're going to be in a different place. And I appreciate the conversation you're letting us have on your panel, sir.
Not a problem, brother. Not a problem. Hey, we gonna deal with the tough ones over here too. The real ones, all the ones that people scared to do. We gonna have them over here. So
I'll be listening when I drop down.
I appreciate you participating. Real talk. Appreciate you participating. All right. So now I'm bringing up my other folks that was backstage. All right. I don't know who wants the hot potato right now, but somebody got to take it. Who taking the hot potato?
I'll take it if I can be heard.
Oh, as far as who running it, it's always gonna be Black Guru because I kind of do elders. If Black Guru drop, then I guess KFC. I believe that's gonna fall on you. At least as far as the ages that I do know, it'll be Black Guru. Then it's gonna fall to KFC.
Okay, got it.
Go after KFC.
No, he's talking about as far as the control of the panel. That's all.
Okay.
All right,
so
somebody got to start talking before I step down now.
Well,
I'll do it then.
As for what Black Guru was stating about the language, John Wittgenstein said, the limit of my language is the limit of my world. And until I want you guys to do a research into the two different versions of an operating system and understand how an API works as a gatekeeper and as a guard to limit access to certain files. When you study that, you're going to understand the concept that I'm talking about to show you how the Europeans have used their language to govern our mind, because in fact, the word government, if you listen to the word go, if I could tell you to go, I'm commanding you. The word vern, I already explained it to you. So govern means to control. And the last part of the word is meant, it's your mental. The word government means to control your mind. Okay? And this system that we have lived in, I never made any statement that white people are better or superior than us. I said based upon the control that they currently have over the system. And they are the one who gave us their language. They are the one who controls our religion, control our school system. They are the one who are directing our consciousness. Okay, and by doing so, they have the power over us. If we don't step out of their language, okay, and create our own, we are never going to master them because their language is set up to restrict you from getting to the higher access of the language. I'm playing my part by releasing the information to give people the access to the deeper level of the language and to show them all the tools and devices that are used as APIs to control how you see the words and things. And until this book comes out and the people get this information, they're not going to see the world or their language and be able to interpret these things.
But I think you said that Rael needed to get in and do an opening. So Rael, if you're able to unmute yourself, go ahead and give your 2-minute opener. Rael? All right. If not, then I'll go ahead and
Go ahead.
yeah, I'll go ahead and go then. All right. So finally, I get to this thing that I've been trying to get across for a while. There have been thousands of years of human history before the concept of white supremacy, and there will be thousands of years of human history after the concept of white supremacy. We didn't come here as warriors, but we're that now. And we can do what we need to do to take ourselves to the next level. Don't give up hope. Anybody else wants to pick up on that? Go for it.
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm, We gotta step out of our zone of comfort. We gotta put down the white baby Jesus. We gotta leave their religion. Like Black people said, we're gonna have to call upon other gods, maybe. Take a page in the Haitian history book. You gotta call. You're gonna have to call the other entities, like I call them. We gotta really email parce qu'ils m'ont hit. We gotta do other things, man. We can't keep fighting in their own playground. We can't keep using their own tactics. We gotta develop other tactics. That's what I got. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and go next. I'm just going to say just a few things, and I'm going to go and hop off and let y'all have it for the day. As far as culture is concerned, Black Americans have a big impact on American culture and pretty much everywhere else in the world. Now, I heard somebody say that Black American politicians are not in other parts of the world and we're not this and that. That's a lie. And I want y'all to Google this stuff. Just don't take my word for it. Like the Bible says, check the spirits. So like in Russia, there's a governor, I believe, was the first Black American governor. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago over a big whole region in Russia, and the people love him over there. There's also Black American politicians that are in, Brazil and other parts of Central and South America and other parts around the world. I can just speak on what I know. I can't speak on, conjecture. I know also in Germany, there's Black American politicians, Black American police chiefs, so on and so on. So we got to stop having this defeated mindset that we'll just take whatever information is given mainstream that, hey, we're not this, we're not that. And as far as all these other religions and other, ideas and deities, there's a white guy who goes around to colleges and he speaks. I think he's got some weird name, Cliff something, skinny faced guy, but he talks a lot about the Bible, whatnot. There was some white liberals out there trying to say that, talking to a black guy, why are you letting him brainwash you with that white man's Bible? And he was from the region over there, near Egypt and Sudan and Ethiopia and all that. And like he told them, and it's also a fact, and anybody who really studies history knows this, when those white missionaries came over to that region in the world, they were shocked that the Ethiopians and people over there already had the Bible, actually a more complete Bible. The Ethiopian Bible has more books in it than they have in our King James Version of what we have today. So you have to do the research, my brothers. You have to learn who's who really stole from what. Russia just uncovered some of their ancient paintings, the Russian Orthodox Church. And those paintings are of the saints and of the Messiah being black. So you can Google that too. Again, don't believe me. You can think I'm full of it. You Google it, you're gonna learn today. And then the culture, and I'm gonna land my plane here. Okay, now we know who owns IHOP. We know who owns Denny's. Denny's, which lost a huge racial lawsuit back in, I believe, the late 80s, early 90s, discriminating against black people in some parts of the country. Also, okay, Waffle House, Denny's, and IHOP. All those places, along with several other huge national white-owned American food chains, all have what now? Chicken and waffles on their menu, as well as other items that originated from Big Mama and Big Papa's kitchen. So, it's just a food item, but it's just a point, just showing y'all that, like Roger was saying, in this country, we've all kind of borrowed from each other. But to say that another group is superior over another is crazy. So Black Americans have contributed a whole lot to this country. We still are. We're contributing around the world. And again, a lot of people don't do the research, so they just feel like we're conquered. Any man, and this is, any older man, older white man or black man, Hispanic man will tell you this. A lot of y'all need to talk to these old school men, ones who were in World War II, Vietnam, like they'll tell you. A man ceases to be a man when a man is not perceived as being dangerous anymore. So I don't care what the situation is. Like Roger say, if we smack, we have to smack back. If you're a man, you're going to fight. Now, if you want to tuck your Johnson between your legs, there's a word for that too, but it damn sure ain't man. Church. Y'all have a blessed day, man.
Well said.
Very well said. Very
Okay,
well
real
said.
quick, I just added myself back up because y'all, I ain't gonna even lie. I was so involved in what everybody was saying in this conversation that I had not recognized the cash apps. And I do apologize, but this one was kind of more intriguing than, yeah, I ain't gonna say that, but this was the fire combo. I'm just say that. All right. So let me just say real quick, shout out to Kev3905. Appreciate you, my brother. He sent in $5 cash app. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you big time. He said, God bless you today, brother. And I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I'm gonna just say shout out to Andrew B. Because I don't know quite who that is. If he in the chat, oh, is that the new guy? Is that the new guy I said something about? Well, I'm just gonna say Andrew B. That could be the new guy, but he said great topic. So shout out to Andrew B. who came through with the $10 cash app. Thank you very much. Shout out to my main man, Inspired Truth Broadcast, who's sitting with us now. He sent in a $5 cash app. He said we didn't come here as warriors, but we are now. And I appreciate that for sure. I definitely appreciate that for sure. And shout out to my main man, Floyd Thompson. He said, hashtag, we are superior because there's, excuse me, we are superior because they still try us. And he hit me with the $5.67. So shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. And I guess I'm gonna jet back off for a second. We got a few more minutes to go. Rael didn't get a statement in. Rael, are you ready to go at this point?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, well, you got the flow, brother. You got the flow.
Peace around and peace of the panel and chat. I think it's very interesting to note that Muhammad Ali was a part of the NOI, and he did a lot of back and forth with a lot of white people during this time. And if you know the origin story or creation story regarding the nation, comes through the story of Yaqub, who was supposed to be this evil genius, mad scientist, black man who wanted to graft the most evil parts of himself out of himself. And according to the story, that's how the white man was created. And so, with that being said, I think it's very important to note that we have to do something that a lot of our people don't like to do as a collective, and it's called self-reflection. We do need to be aware of how we move, how we
Did he go out?
Yep, he went out with a whimper.
Hmm.
Oh, we lost you, Rahel. If you can hear us.
I think we lost him. Uh, I'll say this, man. I think we just need to do a better job of taking our natural gifts and doing better with them as a whole. I think we got to stop the loud minority from speaking for us and allowing our image to be tarnished by those that are not doing right with it. We got to get our house together. A house divided ain't gonna stand. We got to get our house together. And then one of the things he did say was self-reflection. I agree with him on that. We need to reflect upon ourselves as a whole. And those of us that are not doing right, we need to put them on notice that this behavior is no longer acceptable. Both men, women, and children. We really need to start going in the right direction because as we're talking about, white supremacy is it's flailing right now. This is our opportunity to grab a hold of a little bit more of this country than we got. Grab a hold of a little bit more of financial stability. Grab a hold of a little bit more of of government and also our not just our economic power but our political power. We have to take advantage of that. It's our time to start getting a little bit more of it, and we need to take it serious. And we need to have a game plan as to how we're going to do that and maintain it. And that's my thoughts for the moment.
I'm back. Uh, Thank you for saying that.
We need to get to the asset class too, so we can actually own our ideas.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we could hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. So sorry about that. Connection was bad for some reason. But yeah, the self-reflection part is what I wanted to get at because it's very important. I was talking about Muhammad Ali and how I didn't even notice until maybe like 10 years ago that he would he would carry around a picture of Malcolm with him. Um, and it was one of his biggest regrets that he didn't support and defend Malcolm when Malcolm was under assault, really from within the nation, not from what he was experiencing with white people. And it really kind of touched me to know that he carried his picture around like that. And it's something that I'm constantly saying a lot is that a lot of the things that we associate with white people being white, we do this shit too. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to strategy and war and stuff like that, to me that's different. I'm talking about everyday living. That's a different ball game. When you got to strategize to win, hey, people like a homie of mine said a long time ago, if you ain't trying to cheat, you ain't trying to win. And at the end of the day, like because of all the stuff that we've gone through, we're trying to scratch and claw our way back to the prominence that we have earned on this planet. Make no mistake about it, like we have contributed greatly to this planet. I argue a lot that even from a technology perspective, the world is operating off the black man's original tech, off of our original idea and blueprint. Every time you turn around, you seeing something, you find out, oh, well, that's something that black people actually started. Oh, that's something that black people created, and then they did a different variation on it, including spiritual systems. So for me, like I appreciate, Muhammad Ali and what he used to do in terms of white people, but at the same time, even the nation's story recognized that there was something faulty at play in terms of the Yakub story. And I think that's a very humbling story in terms of understanding that before you're so quick to point them fingers, you might need to do a little bit of self reflection so you're not being tripped up by things that's missing, and that comes with us holding each other accountable, because you're supposed to watch your brother six. When he has a blind spot, you're supposed to be able to let him know he's missing something, and that means we have to be able to be honest and be able to be forthright with each other, and because that's a part of leadership. That's a part of proper leadership. And too many times we have people who can't accept being held accountable like that. And as men, because we're quick to talk about women not wanting to be held accountable, but we got a lot of guys in our cipher too who have that same kind of mentality, who don't want to be held to that account. And it's much more of an egocentric thing instead of pushing forward together type of thing. So we have to be very critical and understand that, and not keep falling for the same tricks that we've constantly seen be deployed against us, because honestly, ain't no new tricks being formed. It's still the same divide and conquer tactic that's being used, and it's effective because of the lack of self-reflection that we refuse to do, because we get too much bogged down in a lot of egocentrism, which doesn't really help anybody.
I'm glad you mentioned the moral side of things, because a lot of what ends up getting used against us is essentially Machiavellianism. Like you have the all the rules being broken, and then the establishment of rules against us, and then moral shame when we do what was done against us, or use some of those tactics, so that we're just kind of stuck in place. Still with me?
Yeah, we with you.
Uh,
Well,
yeah,
and how do you break that? How do you? I mean, it takes a superior person, so to speak, to even break that. So I think you do have to start to think of yourself as being better in order to even begin to put yourself in the frame of mind and the process to confront that, because you do have an enormous task. And you can't necessarily think of it and view it the way they do or any other human beings do. Your approach has to be completely different from any other human beings that have ever lived. Are you prepared to embrace that?
I don't know if many of y'all understand or know about the history of Tupac and Death Row, and how they were trying to start Death Row East. And this is at a time where there was so much animosity between the East Coast and the West Coast. And they were trying to they had actually formulated Death Row East, where they wanted to sign East Coast artists to Death Row. And you would think that with all of the things that was going on at that particular time, the last thing that they would want to do is sign artists from the East Coast. But it was the opposite mentality. And I have to give them brothers a lot of credit for having that wherewithal to even approach it from that particular perspective. These were young dudes too. But there was something that they understood, that they needed that other side too. In spite of the differences that they were having as far as like individual, from a collective, they understood that if we're going to keep this thing going, we can't be at really war with this whole East Coast. We got to really kind of, really kind of tamp this thing down. You had the project, the One Nation project, Tupac had going with a lot of the artists from the East Coast as well, and that was a brilliant chess move. Unfortunately, there were just forces working against him that had a little bit more power and influence. But the messaging was good though. Trying to figure out how can we be more in unison in terms of a united front than being at war with one another, which is what Tupac kind of referenced in the song "Changes." That was one of the messages in the song he had, "Changes." And so we are going to have to become a men that know how to choose the proper leadership. I think that's one of our biggest Achilles heels as black men. We're too bogged down a lot of times with charisma instead of substance, and that's not what it used to be for men. True men are going to get the substance over the charisma. And unfortunately, we've had quote unquote uh, leadership that has been more focused on being charismatic than being effective and substantive. And I think that until we as men, outside of the female aspect of conversation that we have, until we figure out how to actually groom and select the proper leadership, because that takes a elder mentor type of approach, you know, where people are willing to, when it's there, when time has passed them by, for them to kind of step back and help bring in and usher in uh, the new talent. You saw this even in music. When hip hop first came on the scene, a lot of the old school artists, man, they just turned their backs against hip hop artists instead of saying, hey, these are the mistakes that we made with our contracts. These are the mistakes that we made not having control of our masters. Y'all don't make the same mistake. This is what you get. This is what you push for. And there has been that kind of tension for decades because of that. Whereas a lot of the hip hop artists showed a lot of respect to the previous generations of artists because they sampled a lot of their music. So I think that we really need to, as men, really kind of figure out, like, how do you select, how do you groom, how do you select the proper leadership? Because at a certain point, we're going to get old and we're going to have to pass the baton at some point. So how do you select? How do you groom? What's the mechanism in which you groom and you teach and you mold the next wave of leadership that's coming? And I really kind of respect what Pac and Death Row, despite, you know, because they didn't make all the right decisions either. But I respect the fact that in spite of their differences with some people on the East Coast, they were still trying to make that connection and forge a path together to try to put a lot of the the beef stuff to the side so they can make some money and move forward together.
I want to ask you a question, brother. Um, I don't know if you have children or not, but I'm going to use a hypothetical. If you had children, would you turn on a Tupac album and tell your children to emulate everything that he says from beginning to end on all his albums?
I would turn on a Tupac album to teach them about what his experiences were because that's what
Would
it's
you
all about.
tell your would you have your children emulate the
No,
things that he's promoting?
well, I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't tell. I wouldn't tell them to emulate the things that he's promoting because
Right.
hold
The
on,
truth.
hold on, let me
Go
finish.
ahead. Go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
I would also just like if I give them a book to read that has certain concepts in it, I wouldn't tell them to emulate that either. It's a tool. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason
Right.
why colleges use artists, even in schools, as teaching tools so people can understand social conditions.
Yeah, we
Okay.
wouldn't have anybody
That's
emulate Romeo and Juliet either.
Exactly. Exactly.
correct. Correct. But none of these hip hop artists are good examples for our children to follow. The first example for your children to follow should be you, their father, and they should see the way in which you live your life and the type of people that you surround yourself by, the principles that you put into them to guide. That way, when they're reading, they're watching, they're listening to whatever they're reading, watching, and listening, they know what to take out of it. You know, you teach them the way in which they should go. So even if they depart from that path, they know which path to get back on for success. We have to be leaders in our homes first, each and every one of us,
Agreed.
and then it extends outward. It is poor management as a man and as a father to point to entertainers as leaders. It's just it hasn't gotten us anywhere.
Well, well,
And to be quite
let me
go
clarify
ahead.
though, because I wasn't. That's
Mhm.
not what I was doing. What I was talking about was how they, in the midst of their manship, were trying to forge a path together to get over the petty squabbles that they were involved in, which ultimately led to the demise of two great artists. But how, in the midst of all of that, they were still trying to figure out how can we move forward with this. You know what I'm saying? Because they understood how much power and influence that they had in the world in terms of our world as far as, people. So they knew that we got to figure out how to take this energy and use it in a more constructive way. Unfortunately, things played out the way that they played out, and we saw what happened. But I'm not saying that we should look to entertainers. I'm looking at them doing business. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from the business angle.
Yeah, and I
And
want to pick it.
business is a form of actual power too. So in that regard, because you saw them possibly try to forge a distribution network amongst much of the top black labels at that time, which unfortunately wasn't able to come to fruition. Those were power moves that they were trying to make as a collective. And unfortunately, they had people that just really undermined their efforts who were actually black. But what I'm saying is, from a power perspective, they were trying to figure out a way to move forward. And these were younger guys, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times during that time, a lot of the older people were so busy trying to criticize them instead of trying to help them figure out how to move what they were trying to move forward, because they were moving on some power type stuff in the industry. But they did need some kind of some people who could back them up with some kind of wisdom to help them get across the finish line. And unfortunately, they weren't able to. So, but I agree with you as far as it starts in the home first, though.
I see that Raj put up there that it was just 5 more minutes and then we shutting it down. So I guess kind of piggybacking on that, I think that one way that we can modify behavior is by dealing with mentorship and apprenticeships. Like maybe the access to mentors and apprenticeships could be a modifier for behavior, because you can't get access to my time without modifying some of these behaviors and some sets of conditions. That could be a way.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I'll speak on the music industry thing
I agree too.
uh, backstage later. Uh, I got a lot on that. I disagree fundamentally with the whole entire hip hop movement. To be honest with you, um, I don't think any of these artists are good for us, good for our culture. I grew up in the '80s. I saw it destroy us, and I think it's one of the things that we need to rid ourselves of.
Totally disagree, but we could disagree to agree to disagree.
Oh, of course, of course.
I'm gonna head out, y'all. I'll stay breezy. It's a pleasure being up with y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Absolutely, man. You guys have a good one, man.
All right, peace. All right, Roger, you can shut it down.
Roger's probably on the way to work.
Nah, that ain't what's going on. Uh, good guess though. Good guess. But I did come in to shut it down because y'all got more than 5 minutes. I had to do something. You know what I'm saying? Took me more than 5 minutes, which I thought it was gonna take me. But we shutting it down anyway, y'all. I think it was a great show. We got a lot of great angles, a lot of great perspectives, a lot of great things. And at the end of the day, You're gonna take from it what you can from it. But this was, I do believe, a real discussion about superiority, which is what I wanted to present. We gonna tackle the touchy subjects and the hard subjects over here too, y'all. So if you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Everybody hit that like button on your way out if you ain't already done it. And y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.